article just came out.
Oh god, a cold start.
Yeah, it's just it's good stuff. You know, I'll read it again here. Just the headline on it: managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hands through feelings he won't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated. Is any wonder women are fed up? Man keeping is why more and more women are done with dating. Come the fuck on. But yeah, what were you saying there, Steve?
So my wife's pregnant, right? And it's a fucking shitty pregnancy sucks.
Sure.
If there's definitely an advantage to being in the dark about how much it sucks. Now my understanding is it pays off in the end, but it really fucking sucks going through. It sucks for her. It sucks for me. It sucks for me dealing with her, particularly the latter. But like we got a ton of shit to do. I am nowhere near having what would be a good house for a child right now.
Right.
Now, granted, it's got a whole potato phase, so I'm not too worried about that. But I've been trying to get the living room just finished. Just close out this project, which allows me to return a lot of my space back to normal. And then focus on other baby stuff. Because I got a couple months before it shows up.
Oh, that's smart.
And that means that every night I go to work. Right, I get up at like 6:30, probably really roll out of bed around 7 because I'm a lazy fuck. But I go to work. I work for 9 hours. I've got an hour and a half, 2-hour-ish commute between the going in and the coming out. And then I come home and I drywall. And that's been, and I work at home. That's been basically my life for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I tell you, drywall sucks. Drywall is a really, really shitty process.
Yeah,
there's no part that's. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it sucks a lot less than lath and plaster, but it still fucking sucks. And
it's not always pleasant, no.
The gypsum just sucks the moisture out of your hands. It cracks all of your skin. It is and then of course it's like it's all throughout the air, and so like it's just I'm a giant snot rag of awfulness.
It's like they called it drywall.
Right. And it really sucks because, it's I was so focused on her over the summer that I didn't focus on that. So now it's all winter. So now the windows are, closed. We're trying to keep the heat in, all that stuff. So it's even like double suckage. And so I go upstairs. It's, I get home around 6 o'clock and I start drywalling. I went upstairs around 10. And I go and my wife asked me earlier in the night if she could just have the night off because I've been kind of directing her work to try to keep her on task. And so I go upstairs, I blow snot out of my nose in the sink, I wash my face, trying to get the crap out of my eyes and my nose, and then she has an existential crisis, which is a very normal thing in pregnancy, about whether or not she's going to enjoy having a child. And like that's a normal thing. That's a normal thing. But I tell you, I don't want to fucking listen to it after I've had...
But what if they don't like me? But what if everything goes bad? It's like, yeah.
What if I don't like it? What if it doesn't like me? These are very normal things during pregnancy. But let me tell you, my wife decided to hit on a keynote there, which is something along the lines of, what if I don't enjoy it? And I said, and I'm sitting there and I looked at her and it was the most modern woman pinnacle of like why the 19th Amendment should be repealed, pinnacle of why Instagram and the rest of social media was a mistake, right? We can ignore the fact that the principal female voting issue is whether or not they can kill their children, right? And that's their principal voting issue. We can ignore that and just go straight to the fact that her principal concern was whether or not she would be super stoked when the kid arrives and taking care of a child. And after I've just sat there for 4 fucking hours doing drywall with snot coming out of my nose, like the fucking audacity to sit there and be like that's your attitude. Because you know what, motherfucker? Doing all this housework, it's not fun now. I'm not enjoying it. And this is the difference between men and women, right? This is really fundamentally the heart of the difference. Men are raised with stoicism properly. And so we learn to put our emotions and our feelings aside. We only really sit there and reach out to women in the utmost of like we just need to talk to somebody type circumstances. And the rest of it, we create a world in which they live in as happy little cows in our milking pasture. And that's the fucking way of the world. and we accept it, and we get sex out of it, and it's an okay deal. It's not the best deal for men, but whatever, it's a deal.
Yeah.
And then the modern woman believes that she is entitled to be in a state of perpetual happiness. And I tell you, man, it is the hardest thing as a man to listen to a woman sit there and complain. Like what they consider part of their insecurities is really fucking frustrating, because it's like the most mundane shit. They are focused on whether people care about them or think about them, whereas we're focused on putting food on the fucking table. And you know, I think you can see this. This has been brought up in social media a lot. We have the how often do men think about the Roman Empire? That was a trend, right? I think one of my favorites is the video of the black guy and the black girl, and they're walking through a mall, and the guy's like basically going security measures in his head, because that's like legitimately what you do when you go in public spaces. And then she's like, you know, singing a fucking song in hers, and it's fine.
I wonder what he's thinking about it, but it's other women.
Yeah. I that's another great name. It's fine. I am not complaining as a man dealing with women, because realistically, with you have rights and you have privileges. Rights and privileges exist. Rights are where you have no duty, but you get a legal legal benefit without a duty. A privilege is no benefit with or a social benefit with a duty rather than a legal one. And then you have entitlements. And this is where we're at this day and age, where a whole bunch of women think it's not just women, right? There's a lot of people who believe in entitlements.
Very entitled people.
And when you talk about things like this Vice article, circling it all the way around, it is amazing what women believe the world should look like and how it functions. And it becomes painfully evident how shielded they are from the generalities of the world, and why it is like, you know, and we should be shielding them, right? That's something that men should be doing. We should be protecting them, because they don't need to think about those things. They've got, their biology is fundamentally on hard mode, right? For God's sakes, they can't pee standing up.
Yeah, but that's largely because it's funnier to watch them squat. Sorry, keep going.
What's wrong with you? And then there's
we don't put some comedy in there somewhere, you know.
I don't think that was comedy, Craig. It's just sadness. It's just sadness.
That was pretty funny.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Get every chuckle out of it that you can. But yeah, it's always one of those things where every once in a while, you just pause for a moment and you realize how entitled women are, and how much sacrifice that you have to go through. And it's all worth it, because you get benefits, and we do get benefits as men. This is what they call the patriarchy. This is what they call privilege. It's not privilege because we have a duty associated with it. And I think part of the bigger problem that the bigger complaint that women have with society, and the bigger complaint that men have with society, is the opposite sex is frequently engaging in the benefit without paying the duty. And this Vice article is no greater exemplar of that fact.
Well, Vice is really just such a thoroughly modern publication. A modern publication for the modern audience, you might say.
You might say.
It is
What was
indeed.
it about the modern audience and a certain other publication that totally found it?
Oh, motherfucker. I just realized I didn't screw my drywall in one spot.
Oh, that's not good.
That's not
Yeah.
good at all.
Yeah. That's sneaky. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna
Not to worry.
mute myself for a little bit here while I take care of this rather problem.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. There's a lot we've got to go over. Like Snap. Yay, it's back. And of course, you know, Steve will remain without...
well, motherfucker, that was the thing I was going to ping him about, is if he's... what his schedule's looking like, if he's back yet, or if they're waiting for things to get ordered or whatnot. Because I know the signature just happened from the pen that matters. not the auto pen.
Well, the thing is, it was, what was it? As of now, it's like a week and a half out, so I'm sure things will be resolved within that period as far as like federal employees.
Yeah.
I'd be very,
because I know there was a slew of other votes that had to go through to get everything squared away for some dumbass reason instead of the one that they kept harping on. But I guess they're about done. Although, speaking of engineering, I have a question for you. I'm going to give you 2 photos in the staff chat. I want you to tell me which one of them is an actual real project.
Well, well, the thing is, I know one of them is. I've actually, I know which one. The one's Indian.
I think you know which one.
I like that it was next to the Barack Obama Combine Tower. That's
the
inaugural Obama Combine tower for subjugating the masses.
It's the Perry Tower. Yeah. So I bring this up because a very interesting civil engineering marvel of the world happened to be open this year and then was just recently closed before it collapsed.
Oh,
in a different
China,
country,
perhaps.
In China.
Yeah, there's a
Hongqi
bridge over there.
The one of several hundred, apparently, it seems, Hongqi bridges. Since you look that up, and it's well, I don't speak Xinjiang, so that's all that.
Now, just to
that's a me problem, not their problem.
That, which a lot of people have been glazing over. There were maybe some cracks in the thing, and there were probably some.
I can go ahead and help you with that.
Ramen that they used to fill said cracks. So there's probably some glue in there, but beyond that, there actually were some ground shifts before it.
Let me help you with this. Let me help you with this. So they finished pouring the cantilever pier in January. So they've basically finished pouring the bridge in January. Through traffic was allowed in June or July. Monday.
Hello, boys. I have returned.
Hey.
Good. Monday, somebody noticed some cracks and issues going on, so they, phoned the police and said, "Hey, what the fuck?" The police stopped all traffic on the bridge. And then Wednesday morning, the first 2 piers of the bridge and the anchoring area of the bridge were taken out by the ground shifting. And they could have hit the central pier and taken out basically 9/10 of the bridge, but luckily they kind of slid off just to the side of it and didn't take out the central pier. So had nobody noticed, and these kind of ground shifts don't typically happen over days; they typically happen in like minutes. So like that's the norm. It's a spectrum, if you will, but like the norm is minutes. So they got very lucky. This could have been a mass casualty event, like morning rush hour on the level of 9/11.
Yeah, very possible.
So this is something that the surveying team and the civil engineering teams and the engineering managers should have all caught before, during, and after construction. Like, this is something you do site surveying to figure out if it's going to happen or not. Like, you don't just kind of look at the ground and go, yeah, well, it looks stable. You do like site surveying with ground penetrating radar.
Well, I mean, it wasn't shaking when they were there, so how are they supposed to expect it's going to shake later?
Exactly. So, yet another tofu dregs from China. Unfortunate for them. But yeah, there was cracks in the ground and in the ground anchoring structure that were noticed by people who are not the engineering teams or site surveying teams. This is the kind of shit you're supposed to do routine monitoring after the fact to, ensure it doesn't happen, especially when you have a hillside construction like that.
And on a related note, too, because it also happened in the last week, this is a little esoteric to our audience, but related directly. There was a, at Tianmin Mountain, there's a, what is it? The Eternal Staircase? I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like this crazy staircase with incredible slopes.
The big staircase?
Yeah. Everybody's seen the picture. It's the one that's got the big opening at the top that like the sun will shine through, and it looks absolutely like something out of a fantasy movie or something.
Yeah.
Really cool place. A few years back, I want to say not even that many, maybe 5, 6, maybe even less than that, Land Rover did a demo there of one of their new cars. or one of their new SUVs, I should say, crossover hybrid. So, fairly powerful vehicle, because pretty much all hybrids that are like flagship models are. And on top of that, they had, they crossed all their T's, dotted all their I's, made sure everything was in place, did practice runs, did everything. And then they run the Land Rover up this eternity staircase. And it's a really cool video. And then they let it back down. The whole thing is like tethered with a cable up at the top, steel cable. The whole thing's well rehearsed, well planned. So a Chinese company that is a production ally, I guess you'd say, of Land Rover in China, Chery or Cherry, I'm not sure, one or the other. They were like, well, we can do this. So they took their entry level SUV that does not have 400 horsepower, and they didn't really. Well, I mean, it worked for Land Rover, so I mean, you don't need to practice. You've seen it work before.
And did they use a steel cable to make sure?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. So they actually had a little bit of forethought.
Some, you could say. I believe what they did in that case was run it all the way to the top, as opposed to pull the thing all the way to the top and then slowly let it back down to make sure it can work. Because it worked before. Of course it's going to work again. Even if you use a smaller braid of rope, it's fine. So, anyway, they have some trouble in the first portion of it, and then they finally get back to the main section, the long portion, and, well, they make a run at it. And then it starts kind of fishtailing a little left and a little right, and then just slides back. Pops the steel cable, and keeps going. Damages some of the stone side rails.
God damn it!
Yeah, just quality stuff. Quality stuff. But back to what we were talking about.
Side rails stood up.
Oh yeah, I mean it's achingly normal, unfortunately, these days.
Well, that's the thing is like the whole tofu dregs thing. Like when it comes to large scale infrastructure, like a bridge, that's put in by the government and contractors, perhaps, but like it's not. Like it's not just like so a lot of tofu dreg stuff came from trying to prop up a whole bunch of buildings really quickly. And having private capital, in theory, going into that from the managing side of things. And then just, people would slap together stuff, like you said, the ramen in the walls was a big one, the hollow bricks, et cetera, just to undercut enough and to skim off the top and set themselves up to a better position. Like that's not something you would expect necessarily with like a large bridge like that just got done beginning of this year. But it happened. And so, I mean, the question, I was talking to my dad about this before, and, it's kind of like the next question is, all right, so who are they going to put on the chopping block to show that they did something, even though, this is the kind of shit that gets an engineer's license pulled and then they get like a decade in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially if there's like a mass casualty associated with it.
That's in the West. So, we might never even learn this engineer's name.
Right, that's kind of the question.
Because he might
who's it going to be?
And ever.
It was going to be, who's it going to be, and are we going to know about it?
Very real.
I have no idea.
Very real. But back to what we were talking about before we...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess... it's kind of... We're back onto tofu and ramen, so, either way. But, as we were saying about Snap here, there's some interesting developments
Snap.
with that. It is coming back. But there's going to be...
That's unfortunate.
Well, it is.
There's going to be some changes.
That's exactly right.
I think so. So there's a couple things that really piss me off about the entitlement programs, and it's not just that we give free shit to poor people. That doesn't necessarily bother me. It does peeve me a little bit, right? You should get what you earn, but it's how we do it. Means testing is a horrible mistake because it encourages people to stay poor. There's literally no incentive to work because if you make too much money,
like the child support
you lose your
system
benefits.
Encourages, divorce and non-marriage.
Right. And so like I would much rather. So there's two things. That's one aspect. Another thing that really irritates me about this whole business is that why is it that you should be getting fresh fruits and vegetables rather than buying canned stuff, which is arguably cheaper? And at the same time, why are we sitting there and dealing with the competition? And this is a general complaint about entitlements. Why are we in the middle class dealing with competition from people who didn't earn anything for the exact same resources that we're seeking? I do think that we need we need a strong social safety net, as the saying goes. However, what is a safety net, and what is a
Well,
how
it should
should we
come with
build
a
that?
guarantee of. It should come with like for those who are not truly disabled, like and they're they go through a hell to get marked off as disabled and therefore lifelong benefits. And I get, and that sucks and all, but it should kind of suck a little bit because we got to make sure we don't get people who do not deserve those resources on those programs. So on the other side of that, though, like the it's kind of like with jail where we say there needs to be rehabilitation, that which has been largely lacking in that system. And I think with entitlement programs that are, especially when it comes to things like you're just broke, it should come with not just like a side possibility of, but especially for people who are known to not be disabled. There's no reason to be on that forever.
Case in point, fellas.
You should be required to go through the side of it where it gets through after your ass and back to work.
Well, case in point, fellas. Let me use myself as an example, actually, because I'm living this. I have Obamacare. I would rather not, but
same.
There is legitimately no other option for someone who lives below the poverty line. That's just how it is. So,
I guess it's not strictly the same then.
Yeah, well, so that being the case,
well, I'm too poor to even get the subsidy. I just get hosed both directions.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, well,
Well,
making what I do, and in this situation, give me just 1 second if you would, but in this situation,
Sure.
even with everything, with the new fucking whatever the fucks, regulations that are supposed to be going in, like I won't be able to get this unless I'm working 40 hours a month. 40 hours a month. I think. It might be 80 hours a month. But it's not 40 a week. It's absolutely not.
Yeah.
And
So
that's very
what
doable.
What I was trying to say is what pisses me off when it comes to these entitlement programs is that we have determined that even with partial work requirements, we've set the benefit to be so fantastic that there's no incentive to not be on the benefit, and there's no marketplace for solutions. So, like something like Snap,
the EBT haul videos.
So Snap, well, it's not even that, right? Like Snap, well, I don't understand why we have the supplemental nutrition assistance program rather than the core calorie requirements program, right?
That's
if we
fair.
turn around and we said, hey, let's sit there and get rid of Snap for just a minute, and instead, everyone, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're poor or like anybody at any time can go claim a benefit. And the benefit will be you will get a 90-day or 100-day supply of rice, beans, and flour, right? And some salt. You know what the cost of such a program is? It'd be like nothing.
Well,
it would
used
be
to stock government cheese.
we could allow every single person in the country to access this core calorie requirements benefit for the same cost as Snap. And so I kind of think that you should get your dehydrated rice, your dehydrated beans, and your salt. And if everybody has access to the same benefit, then there's no jealousy. There's no anger or animosity towards the people who are on this program. There's not.
I can tell you what happened.
Haul videos.
Well, I'm just telling you. I can tell you what happened. The price of flour and salt and dehydrated beans, etc., would skyrocket because they could.
Yeah,
because the government's paying for it.
No. Hold on. That's not. First off, I don't think that's how that would work out. If you turn around and said, "Hey, we're not just going to get you flour in a convenience sack. It's going to be a 50-pound sack of flour, a 50-pound sack of rice, a 50-pound sack of beans," which, by the way, is the calorie requirement for about 100 days. And we said anybody can apply for this benefit every 90 days. It's only provided to people who apply for the benefit. And and it will always be available to the people who apply for the benefit, and they just have to go through the process of picking it up at your local post office. It's not going to be delivered to you. You don't get to go to the grocery store. There's no
local
like
Department of Agriculture, for instance, say whatever.
Right.
But yeah,
You want to know what's going to happen?
You run down,
people
you
like
get an
me,
Uber, you hop on the bus, whatever.
whatever that you want to do it by by hand. You can do you want to do your own hand delivery. You want to pay somebody to deliver it for you. Either way, it's got to be picked up at your local post office. We have the logistics network available to do that. It becomes not a problem.
Oh,
so
you're
you
disabled.
turn around
okay,
and
well, it's already at the post office. We'll have them deliver it to you.
No. The post office won't deliver it. You got to go pick it up.
Let's say you got a genuinely disabled person. Okay.
They can figure out a way to get it to themselves.
Well,
it is not the job of the post office to deliver it to them. That's not the point.
You know what? Okay, fair.
Okay.
All right.
So, getting to your point
Right.
then.
The point is that if you did that, I don't want a 50-pound sack of flour sitting in my house. I am not going to use a 50-pound sack of flour in the time that it would require for the 50-pound sack of flour to be available. I am much more interested in like a 5-pound case or something like that. And that is what you can go buy in the grocery store, more convenient sizing rather than this bulk. Fucking, god damn it. Fucking robots, man. That's what you have available to you at any time. You can buy that stuff anytime with your own money. There would absolutely, you'd have the advantage of convenience pricing, as well as, which would eliminate the market damage that gets done from the government stepping in. Because if you only turn around and say it can only be available from 50-pound, or, bulk 50-pound sacks of flour, and that's all these people have access to, I guarantee you, and by the way, anybody can have access to it. It doesn't have you don't have to be this poor to qualify. I guarantee you, within a very short period of time, people are going to start working because they want more, right? Like, if you don't provide them the benefit, they will sit there and figure out a way to improve their lifestyle. But if you do provide the benefit, if I can get a stake on SNAP, what incentive do I have to work? Especially if work is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is that's how you fix that.
Well, it used to be that we had it used to be that the religious institutions in this country took care of the vast majority of welfare requirements.
Oh yeah, the majority of that was actually handled, by faith organizations,
churches, synagogues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that used to be the way it is, or used to be what it was. And I mean, it still to some extent is the way it is, but because think of it like this, if you're a person who goes to church, goes to synagogue, et cetera, and they do a canned food drive, you get to write all that off as tax deductions, charitable tax contributions, or charitable contributions from deduction from your tax. That's up to like 5 or 10% or whatever it is of your total tax liability, I think, that you can pull from that. Like that's not a small number for people who do a lot of business. And that's not a small amount of food for people who are needy.
Well, I mean,
So,
regardless
in case that we passively did that in the background.
I'm not saying that we should have to rely on the kindness of strangers to do whatever.
That's the thing. The difference there is that is kindness. It's not at the end of a gun.
I agree.
Which is what SNAP is. But, and the other side of that also is that you now have someone to whom you are accountable. You do not just have some faceless entity that's stealing from someone else. You have people who not only give you the food, they also want you to succeed, and they will help you if you ask, or they'll offer it without asking. Can we get you a job? Can we help you out?
I agree with your core sentiment there. I think that's fantastic. I think that's great, but I don't have an issue with saying that the government should provide a stable floor, to this. I don't think that we should subsidize food. I don't think we should give people money to go buy whatever the hell they want. I think it should be, we'll make sure that your calorie requirements are met because it's fucking cheap. Like, calorie requirements are cheap.
Well, there's something else to this, and that's actually what I was wanting to get to. It's a Breitbart article. I'll link it below here. But is what's going to be happening on top of this SNAP coming back, because some of these things are actually going to be addressed. Finally, What's going to happen now is every recipient needs to reapply to verify that they cannot survive without SNAP.
Right.
We have discovered people actually finally auditing this and making it public have revealed, I should say, that there's about 200,000 dead people on there, and on top of that, about 500,000 double dippers. And that's just out of red state data where they made it available. That's
so you're telling me is there's about 1.2 million.
That's not with that is no California. That's no New York. That's no Washington. That's no Oregon. Right. That's just.
What you're telling me is there's at least a million, 1.2 million SNAP beneficiaries that are going to be removed from the program post ACE. Then
probably
because I don't think any of the double dippers should be back in. I think that's criminal, and they should either go to jail or should be kicked out permanently.
Got no issue with it myself.
I think this is all. I think this problem becomes self-solving if we meet your requirements, right? Because you can't turn around and say we're starving people.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're not giving somebody a card that they can just go buy food off of and trade that for drugs, then yeah,
right. If you turn around and say, and oh yeah, by the way, that's not going to be something that you're going to want to trade for drugs. You get your 50-pound sack of rice, 50-pound sack of beans. Nobody wants that because everybody has access to a 50-pound sack of rice and a 50-pound sack of beans. There's literally no incentive to. It takes away all of the gross incentives associated with that make the system corrupt in its current.
Here's the argument I see coming right out of that, and I think it's easily addressed in the exact same manner. So just assuming your paradigm as a baseline, the first thing that's going to come out is, well, it's supplemental nutritional, et cetera, because calories aren't nutrients. Nutrients need to be embedded in the calories. So to solve that same way, you get like a 90-day bottle of Centrum, whatever. Like just to cut the argument off at its knees. To cut the argument entirely off at its knees, you get your nutrients and your calories met. Done.
So hold on there. There's when you start talking about rice and beans are actually considered a complete protein. So there's no additional vitamins that are required for that.
Well, no. Hold on.
That's actually not entirely accurate, but still.
Let's stop that one. And I know it was just a mistake of phrasing. Let's just stop that one at the source there. Complete protein set does not mean complete nutrient set. Period.
I understand that.
Vitamins and minerals are not protein.
Hold on. Chill your fucking roll. Enriched flour has all of the associated minerals that you need. So between a 50-pound sack of flour, a 50-pound sack of rice, and a 50-pound sack of beans, you have, with the exception of salt, all of the requirements that you need to continue to survive. And guess what? You can go lick a fucking rock if you want something else.
I mean, you say that in Utah, they sell salt licks. They sell salt licks at any Tractor Supply anywhere. The point is that if you structure a program such that it is bounded and you make it universally accessible, there's nothing to trade. There's no way to enrich your life through that program. Here's the other side of it. Like you go down to we've been dealing with the deer and so on. You go down to Bass Pro, you can get an $8 50-pound sack of deer corn, which by the way is just corn that we've deemed to be it's not corn that we deem to be not fit for human consumption, but not fit for sale for humans. It is actually fit for human consumption. It's just that you might have to sift it out a little bit.
Sure, but I mean, you
could literally get an $8 50-pound sack of deer corn.
That's
marked up from wholesale.
And when I sit there and I say a 50-pound sack of beans, 50-pound sack of rice, and a 50-pound sack of flour, I have no problem with the government sitting there and using the back end of this to be like, hey, this is a really bad year for this section of crops or something like that, so we're going to increase market prices, or this is a surplus and we're going to buy the surplus and we're going to put that into storage and put it on the market, and that'll filter through this whole entire thing. Either way, the goal should always be to have 100 days of calories that you can apply to refill every 90 days, and it should be available to everyone, because then there's no cash value of the program, right? Essentially, the program provides there's nothing to trade. And oh yeah, by the way, I think this should be expanded beyond healthcare is a whole different thing. So I'm not gonna like healthcare is a much more complex issue. But I think you could do the same thing with shelter, right? Like if you, I think housing subsidies put the poor people who haven't earned anything in direct competition with the middle class to the benefit of the landlords. And by the way, as a landlord, I think that's great. We should keep this program 100% double subsidies. I think that's.
So I want to go ahead and just tangential thing.
Let me finish.
Okay,
You do
okay,
tangential in a minute. So
Yeah.
what we should be doing is not turning around and sitting there and providing subsidies for people to go into the same market space as the middle class and compete with that if they can't manage to function on their own. We should have shelters, which we do with homeless shelters, but they should be much more public. Like I see no reason why an individual that if you want to say, hey, this is a social safety net, the social safety net is you get your rice, you get your beans, you get your flour, and you get your fucking cot. Right? Like there is no reason why we can't take warehouses and convert them to bunk beds. And there's no reason why we can't store people or families in there with shared bathrooms and shared common areas and shared kitchens. And if you are so poor that you cannot sit there and pay for your own apartment, then we should have these kinds of facilities available to people. But guess what? Nobody's going to want to live in them. And if nobody wants to live in them, that's fucking great because then I don't have to pay for them. So the people who actually, you can create systems that are self-selecting because you say, we're not going to give you, you're not going to get to live and work, like where Steve Burnett works because, or Steve Burnett lives because Steve Burnett has a fucking job. You don't get to live in that same spot as Steve Burnett because you don't, right? You can turn around and go rack out in this cot. Now we're going to provide that for you. We're going to make sure that you have a clean, safe place to sleep and you have shower facilities. And we're going to have chore rosters and all this other stuff associated with this facility. But if you cannot manage to pay for an apartment in some location or pay for a house, then that's okay. We have a cot for you. We have a cot for you. We have a cot for your children. We have a cot for your wife. And yeah, they're going to be single twin size cots and bunk beds so the husband and the wife can't sleep together. But it's not the government's job to provide you an environment in which you can comfortably have sex without your kids watching. It's the government's job to just provide you a safe, stable place for you to live. And that's it. Nothing more should be provided to these people.
So two things. One that directly is related to this, and that is the fact that we've seen Section 8 vouchers able to be used for new construction buildings, new construction houses, which is insane to me. I think that if that's allowed to continue as a program, it should be limited to housing that has existed for at least 20 or 30 years, like longer than the longest mortgage that's out there presently.
I tell you,
may or may not be 50 years, right?
When I was in Taunton, they built. We lived in a shitty ass old apartment. It was what we could afford, and I tell you, they were building the new Hope projects, and the Hope projects were for all of the poor people so they could have hope. They had like a rec center and fucking townhomes and all this other shit. Nope. All that shit needs to go away. If you are so poor that you need a housing subsidy, then you can go to one of the many allocated government warehouses where we will bus you to a location in which you can earn fucking money. Right? There's no reason to have these people live in New York City. They can just catch the bus from their warehouse storage of your person.
Hell, maybe a Mamdani free bus.
Sure. I think that if I turn around and said, "Hey, we're going to bus you out of you get a cot and a locker," and that's every single person who resides in one of these facilities gets a cot and a locker and shares everything else. I think within a very short period of time, you'd find a whole bunch of people entering the workforce.
So the next thing I was going to bring up is the tangentially related one, and this one's I think probably going to be more important for the next 5 or 10 years of the country. We'll see. They're doing the thing kind of we don't care, how you fund yourself. We're going to give you a house loans again. So I remember the whole I'm sure you remember the housing crisis. We are inviting the same subprime housing market failure again. And to that I can only say, you know what? If you have investment, find a way to get it into non-liable components, and then be ready to pounce on the market when all those housing prices fall like a rock. That'll be a buyer's moment, and it'll come up in the next 5-10 years, I predict.
Very possible.
If it's anything like last time.
It's one of the things that really irks me about the housing crisis was, and for those of us who, for anybody who's a younger member of our audience, there were two competing theories as to what caused the housing crisis, ignoring the suckage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This has to do with facts and reconciliation, right? Truth and reconciliation. Right. Go with my Halo levels. The two competing theories was the left was championing the Glass-Steagall Act, which allowed for investment banks and real estate banks and traditional banks to all kind of merge together and pool their assets. And there is some truth to that, right? Like what ended up happening with these mortgages is they were taking these mortgages, they would take really shitty mortgages, they'd bundle them together with good mortgages and sell them on the market. But
as debts you could buy as a bank or as an investment.
Right. So dilution of crap into a slightly better package was what they were trying to do. And that was how the investment banks were handling it. They were sitting there and kind of merging risk with other things so that their assets looked a little bit better. But the real problem was the CRA.
Hiding the
and
bullshit, but yeah.
The CRA was the source of the problem. And the CRA was actually passed in the 1960s and 1970s. It does introduce things like FHA loans. And to be honest, of government programs, I'm a big fan of the FHA. I absolutely think FHA loans are a great thing. It introduced market competition. You pay a premium on your mortgage, but you're able to get into a house with less payment down, which is great for younger folks. That being said, the CRA had revised guidelines in the 90s under Clinton, and the guidelines that were put in place basically were put in place to combat racism, or at least perceived racism. And so what they found was that banks weren't lending to predominantly black neighborhoods or these kind of urban development centers like that. Places with bad credit, right? And that's the banks were saying, why would I lend to this person? They're a fucking risk. And the government came in and said, first they tried to do incentives, and the bank said, yeah, it's not worth your incentive. And then they turned around and put in a requirement of certain loans being issued to these people. The end result was that a whole bunch of bad loans were issued and continued to be issued for about 10 years, which resulted in the mortgage crisis kind of playing out. Now, the funny part is that we talk about how this is going to lead to a thing. That's actually already there is already a mortgage crisis brewing. It's just nobody's talking about it. I saw a couple articles pop up in the 2024 cycle, but they never really got the traction that I was kind of expecting them to have. And I've actually, as an individual who is a landlord and likes to buy really shitty fucking properties, and the best place to buy a really shitty property is from a really poor motherfucker who doesn't take care of it, right?
I mean, that's going to be your best deal.
It's going to be my best deal. And there's properties in the area that I would love. If I didn't have a kid coming, man, let me tell you, and I didn't have my own house to work on, and I didn't have all that other shit, in a year I might go buy some of these homes to rehab nearby. But one of the things that happened was I reached out to my realtor. I'm like, hey, I have the money, I have the equity in my previous rental, and I have access to the money that I need. Why don't I go take a look at this house or that house, the other thing? And they sat there and I had a really good 2-hour conversation with my realtor, and he said that you don't want this because it's an assignment contract, which is a weird thing. But then we got into talking about the actual market, and he does the same thing I do, where he buys properties, he rehabs them, and then he rents them out. And he tries to attract a really high quality tenant, and then he keeps it below market rates for rent because he wants to retain that tenant. And so the tenant gets lower prices than anybody else anywhere is looking to afford. No jacking of rents. And that's by the way, if you talk to good landlords, the ones who aren't just fucking shitheads, as long as my costs are covered and all of my my bills are covered and I can have a little bit set aside to work on the property, I'm happy to take a loss or no profit on a property and keep people at lower rents because I'll build equity, right? And that's kind of the check and the trade that I get. But this guy said that one of the problems you have is there's not a lot of houses. There's not a lot of inventory on the market for the houses that you really want to buy into as a landlord. The stuff that's a 2% property, something where you could get a rent value at 2% of the property's value per month instead of 1%. The average turnkey thing, like a nice rental, will be 1% or less per month revenue. And you're really looking for a 2%. But that requires a lot of work up front to get it, into a 1% condition, and then you're basically paying it up front. But he said that what's ended up happening is the banks are in the same position that they were back in 2008, and so there's a whole bunch of really shitty mortgages out there that have been continued to be issued because the CRA changes are still in effect because we didn't actually adjudicate them because we wanted to go after investment bankers.
Well, the thing is, they had that really shitty. So it wasn't just that they did the repackaging the once; it's that they did like 4 fucking layers of it.
Well, that
was like part of the issue that what they were dealing with is that it was the risk that was actually the absolute risk that was present was masked in a way that was illegitimate. And like to that end, you could say, yeah, there's the issue with the banks, but they really did fuck it up. And that wasn't really so much necessarily the bank as the people issuing the loans in the first place.
And right now,
which again goes back to the CRA.
So the problem that you have now, and the problem that you had in 2008, was not just that they had the bad loans, not just that they repackaged them, but they didn't start the foreclosure process. So the market, because they didn't start the foreclosure process, so nobody saw it coming. In this case, we're doing the same exact thing, and you say, well, why doesn't a bank foreclose on it? If they're not paying their mortgage, why doesn't the bank foreclose? Well, one, it costs the bank money to foreclose on a property.
Yeah, they also lose all the yield on it.
They lose all the yield on it. It's a really bad, it is a huge financial loss for a bank. It's the responsible thing to do. It keeps the property on the market, which, by the way,
it also confines the toxic asset, that loss, to a asset. Yeah, it doesn't just diffuse it out into other areas and cause a larger failure. It doesn't kick the can down the road, so to speak.
Right. So right now, they're still issuing bad mortgages. We are still sitting there and hiding the fact that they are bad mortgages. And then, on top of all that, now because we didn't actually take the lesson that we should have from Glass-Steagall, or from the 2008 crisis, and we didn't turn around and say, hey, maybe not everybody deserves a home loan. We are right up against that whole same problem that we were at, where there's a lot more homes are overinflated in terms of their price, significantly overinflated in terms of their price. And there's a whole bunch of foreclosures that haven't actually entered foreclosure, and so we're at huge risk here. And by the way, this is not something that's new under Trump. It's also not something he's doing anything about.
That's fine. It's been a long running issue. To be completely
fair. I have many more criticisms about the Trump administration as it keeps on going, but that's a separate topic we should dive into. But yeah, it's getting bad, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse, because honesty matters, not just from a personal or interpersonal perspective, but when you fucking lie in the market, it does a lot of damage to everyone. And that's about what we're about to see, that the niceness of keeping these people in their fucking homes is going to lead to the absolute brutal evisceration of everyone else. And
niceness versus kindness, right?
It's niceness versus kindness. Yeah. It's nice to keep people in their house. It's kind to kick them out. Yep. So it's gonna be wild.
Yeah, we'll be watching. That's for sure.
Let's see from the chat. See you there, Sam. He asked, how do you feel about government subsidies for housing for disabled vets and other disabled individuals? Well, so you can also come in just after we covered this. We covered that a little bit as preamble. Sort of. That's, sort of.
I want to be very clear. I think that the way the government should run benefits is that benefits should be run as a very hard floor. Everybody can scaffold off that floor. It is a solid foundation to build off of. I can go get benefits. Anybody else can go get benefits. If I wanted to sit there and have a $120,000 a year career and live in a fucking shelter on a cot, I think that's great, because then I'm accumulating wealth and it gives me an opportunity to go do that. However, when I sit there and I say that we should have that, we should also have a solid social safety net. It just shouldn't be the current form of it. It shouldn't be we shouldn't have this means tested thing for people of low income. That should just be a base floor thing that you can scaffold off of. For folks who are unemployed or receiving disability, I actually believe in sitting there and having very good benefits for. So if you are unemployed, I think that everyone, regardless of your income level, should get 60% of your income for a period of time. I also think there should be an associated decay on that, right? Like, essentially that you're only able to claim unemployment every so often. Because if you have a personal problem resulted in your unemployment, then there's no reason that it should be a public benefit. You need to work on yourself, right? Disability
that
is
falls back
unique.
into the whole, we used to take care of people in asylums and all of that, because
right.
we don't.
Well, that's
we
kind
let
of
these people
it's
back
more
out on
like
the streets, and we don't put them in jail. We don't have debtors' prisons anymore, which, that's a good thing. But
I
by
think
that
it's
same
more
notion,
along. It's more along like unemployment. If you happen to have an anger problem and you bitch the fuck out your boss on a regular basis, and so you get fired all the time, like it once is okay. Once every 7 years is fine, and I'm okay with 60 to 80% of your pay if you're only claiming it once every 7 years, or for whatever reason. But if you're sitting, and by the way, there's actually a lot of structure. I'll go into the structure. So once, you should only be able to claim it once every 7 years. Any other claims associated with that are basically null and void. When you get it once every 7 years, it should be like an insurance claim. It's kind of a casualty event, right? So if you have a layoff in your field or whatever, you get 60% of your pay, not as a recurring paycheck, but as a lump sum for a set period of time, 6 months or something like that. And so you have every incentive to find any amount of work, because you have no incentive to stay on unemployment. That's the first thing. In the case of disability is a whole different animal. That would be a case of, I think, kind of around the order of 60 to 80% of your previous income for life. But when it comes to disability needs massive reevaluation. The ADA, there's actually, if you're interested in disability stuff, the Americans with Disabilities Act was covered very well with Penn and Teller's bullshit. Yeah. And when you get into what the ADA covers, it's fucking massive. Like, what you can claim as a disability includes inability to do housework, which is, by the way, something that I legitimately struggle with. That would be like an executive functioning disorder. But is an executive functioning disorder a problem with you finding work, or is it a problem with, like, hey, you've got poor life skills?
I just want to make everyone aware that here at the Fake Untitled podcast, we support disabled people like Steve.
Yeah, that's correct. See, Steve goes to fucking work.
He does. Yeah. See, we're responsible.
Unlike Craig, I have a job.
He's going to be pulling that card so long.
I am. It's
no, I'm not. I'm just flat out not going to tell you when I get employed, because I think that's just so charming.
That's okay. It's okay. It's cute that you think you're going to get employed. but I think like disability
unemployment. Come take your job. Sorry, go ahead.
I dare you. You go be the.
Up just to look, you have no reason to understand a single thing I'm going to tell you, but without context, I want Steve's job.
Every single time like something happens, they're like, hey, this might turn into an incident. I'm like, please take my quals. Take them all. Take every single thing. I am not responsible. No, we can't take your quals. Why? Because you're the only one who knows how to fucking do it. I'm like, okay, why are you bothering me with this incident then? But yeah, so when it comes to disabled people, when it comes to unemployment, I actually think those benefits need to be beefed up significantly. To the point where, like, when we were looking at furlough, that would be a claim of unemployment. My wife and I should both have received about 60% of our pay, 60 to 80% of our pay, depending on how you look at it, and it should have been a lump sum benefit, right? Through no fault of our own, we are thrown out into the job market for some unspecified period of time. And that kind of system should be significantly improved compared to the. They just bumped it up from 450, but it's still only like $900 a week, which is, for some people that sounds great, but when you consider that I'm losing my 401k and I'm losing my health benefits and I'm losing everything else that I have, it's nowhere near covering what my job would. It's like 30% of my pay, and oh yeah, you get no benefits. So it really fucking sucks.
It's funny. About every time I sit back and think, maybe I should try and find a job with NASA or NIST. The government just has a massive fucking conniption fit and can't seem to pay itself. It's like, well, that's exactly what I'd have to look forward to every 5 to 10 years.
Right now, when I look at unemployment, it's like if I was to look at my overall compensation and then ignoring some of my benefits, but just my overall compensation, it would be 10% of my pay, and that's fucking awful. That's right. Like I am an individual who is working, who is actively sitting there and contributing to the community, 60 to 80% because of something outside of my own control happened. I think that's very reasonable. Same thing with disability. I know a guy who was working in a factory, and they make wind turbine crates. And so they had a spindle. They didn't have a guard on the spindle in any way, shape, or form. It locked into the wood. The whole wood sat there and spun out with a 2 or 3 horsepower motor, whacked him in the jaw. Lucky to be alive.
Fuck.
But at the same time, it did enough brain damage that he cannot go back to work. So here you have an individual. Just as a point of reference, here you have an individual who was, prior to this job, he was employed at Global Foundries, which is in my one of the other major employers in my area. But for those who don't know what Global Foundries is it is the principal manufacturer of a large portion of computer chips. There's only a handful of foundries, and Global is a big one, and they're big in my area. So he was making about 90-ish a year before that's a boom bust industry. So he lost his job there, and then he went to this other wind turbine thing, and they didn't have a guard, and they almost fucking killed him. That guy should absolutely get a high amount of pay because he has been injured, not only just through no fault of his own, but like just because
the fault of the company.
Right. But if you have bipolar disorder, we have drugs for that, and you should take them, and then you should go get a fucking job. Right? Disability should be reserved. There should be 2 aspects to disability. One, is there a reasonable accommodation available to you to go get a job for whatever condition you think you have? And by the way, a lot of the ones that people can fake would go away almost immediately because there's usually reasonable accommodations for them. And then the people who have serious physical or mental disabilities.
The difference between a debilitating disability and somebody who's got,
correct,
a lame foot or, something.
Yeah, and I've had people sat there and bitch me the fuck out because there was somebody parked on the disabled thing. And it's like, well, if I can't walk if I don't put on my ankle brace, I'm like, well, put on your fucking ankle brace, bitch.
Yeah, right.
And go to the fucking car.
Oh, you can't? Okay, no worries. That'll be covered for you. Yeah. We'll cover that. That way you can go to work.
Yeah, we'll cover it. We will as soon as and by the way, this would also be a huge incentive for the government to invest in reparative technologies.
Absolutely.
That Neuralink or any other reparative technology that allows you to cross that gap. But as soon as you can cross that gap, the expectation will be that we will pay for the accommodation and you will go back to fucking work.
All right, citizen, look at that. Yeah. We got you into a productive state. Time to go be productive.
So, Speaking of government and productivity, thought this was a really funny graph. So I have been looking at this whole argument, and this is switching gears a little bit. So this is total direct taxes and entitlements by age, and this came out of so DeSantis basically said we need to get rid of property tax. Why are you renting from the government after you've already paid off your bank loans?
Right.
Which I agree with. I think it's stupid. People have been saying, no, these are taxes that need to be in place. It's like, fuck you. Why? Why should you be renting from somebody at the barrel of a gun?
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you there because the government requires some level of tax. Well, actually, I take that back.
We used to be tariff-based. That's what I was going to bring up right there.
I do agree that a tariff-based system is a far better. It's harder for the states, though. That's harder for the states.
Well,
it's easy for the feds. It's harder for the states.
True, but we also used to fund ourselves a lot based off of things like tourism and a whole bunch of other taxes, excise taxes. We have we don't have a state income tax. We do have a state sales tax. So it's not so radical a shift to get rid of property taxes because once we have a homestead exemption already, which is already fucked around with so much by counties and so on. Why don't we just get rid of that shit entirely? I mean, there's other ways to make money through that.
To fund itself then.
Well, like I said, there's other ways to get around that. So we have a state sales tax. I think that the sales tax replacement for the income tax was a great proposition. Why not test it out in a state?
See,
you don't have any profits. There's all kinds of things like that.
I
think that sales tax slows down the economy. I don't like it either.
I don't know. I don't like the sales tax. I despise the income tax.
Right.
And so you say, okay, well, how is a state going to sit there and run? And the answer is there's only a handful of ways for it to do what it needs to do. Now, you could sit there and move to privatization of roads, essentially, and by that means you buy your license and registration used in Florida counts for part of your taxation, but that's only for that infrastructure. And then you have a whole bunch of people who aren't paying tax for benefits that they receive from the state. Part of that comes down to how expansive should the state.
We have all kinds of things we can pull. I think that part of it also we have economic incentives to look at our relation with other states. For instance, California. We don't need any more Californians here. So have a number of them that move here when we can tax California and see how that's going to be a huge issue.
How are you going to tax California?
I don't know. We'd find something. I'm being a bit of an ass on that one.
I hear you.
We should tariff their population motion into our state. That's what I'm saying.
I think that sounds interesting. I don't think that's.
Or how about this one? I think that the total tax liability your property should ever be assessed for should be at most the full amount of the initial purchase of the property. That you cannot be property taxed more than that. Now, once you get past that point, they are no longer able to tax you on that property.
So here's the challenge that I have, right? When you sit there and you talk about property, your property is not merely a case of your property. Your property does have a service package associated with it, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not going to turn around. There's no way to undo the fact that you're going to have police, right? And right. you're going to have police and fire coverage. Nobody's going to be like, hey, right. You didn't pay your fire tax.
This was an argument someone else tried with, well, the U.S. Army exists and then, the government protects your property, then you should pay for that service. And I say, okay, well, as people who rent have that same benefit. So why is it that it is only the property owners that are going to be landed with that? Wait a second. That's income tax. Okay, then why the fuck are they going to come after property specifically? They've got to come to a point where they're going to be coming to an equitable standard on that. It's just not reasonable.
If somebody rents, right? So when my tenants, as a landlord, when my tenants pay me rent, a portion of that rent goes to paying for the mortgage, which would be the cost of the property,
Right.
It goes to paying all of the associated utilities and services, which are associated costs of
Right.
that property, and then it goes to pay the taxes on that property. So the tenant does not directly pay that. They don't have to go like I got to go
Well, then
down to
again,
the local municipality and pay their water bill. But like the tenant doesn't pay me. The tenant doesn't pay that tax. I pay that tax on their behalf.
right, because you own the property,
Oh,
right?
yeah, but that's the thing, right? The tenant is still fundamentally paying it, right? If I didn't
Uh-huh.
have a tenant, I would be paying it, but the tenant
Okay.
is fundamentally paying that
Well, then
tax.
move that further
So,
out.
so
Say someone who's living on the street.
well, see, that's a separate problem. I think there's
Yeah.
many.
Well.
I have no problem. Look, I endorse Hassan and his use of shock collars. I see no problem with bum fights for my own personal entertainment. Nor
Oh
do I have
yeah.
a
Okay.
moral issue with sitting there and oh you're on the park bench. Here's
So part
the
of the reason I
collar.
bring this graph up, part of the reason I bring up this graph is because this graph was specifically used to point to the fact that it is somehow a benefit to younger people. It was somehow a
I
benefit to
agree.
younger people. Somehow it's a benefit to younger people. They have to pay more because they're going to get taxed and have their fucking mortgage. It's like, okay, no, that doesn't make sense. And so then later on they're going to get done with it and they're still going to be paying their property taxes up in their older age. So it's
Well,
if we get rid of so here's the thing is the idea was that somehow having a property tax was going to make it easier for people to buy a house, and the only reason that's a thing is because it would kick elderly people out of their house. And then you look at a plot like this where we're already way underpaying the entitlements of the elderly to begin with. Like you look at the area under the curve, it just does not match up. We are already operating at a loss. So the whole entire point is fucking stupid to me. It's like let them die in their homes and then they go back on the market. The number of years lost there is not going to be great, and it's certainly not going to fix that curve, which is what they're arguing for. They're saying, look, we need to have that churn in the market. It's like, okay, well, just build more houses then. That's always going to be the solution at the end of the day because we have a population that is not shrinking, so houses are not just going to pop out of thin air. You need to build houses when you have population growth.
I could get behind an associated property sales tax, right? But I just where I really struggle is there and that would strongly incentivize people to never leave, but it would also probably lock homes off the market.
You could see how the thing I mentioned earlier is still a way to pull in money from it. It just puts a cap. That means that if you keep your home for a stupid long amount of time, and you also manage to pay off the amount of say like I said, twice the value of your home. So you've already paid off the value of your home in your mortgage, and you've now paid it off in property taxes. You are no longer taxed on that land. That can't say so. Say you also cut that off through inheritance. You cannot just simply pass that to your children and then have the property taxes never happen again. Instead, say as soon as it's transferred in title, you have to reassess the value of the home, and you have to accrue again that effectively a debt to the state. That's the taxes you have to pay off over time. Like it makes things simpler in my mind because again, it's a tax that's assessed by the state regardless of whether or not you finish paying off the house, which is silly to me, and it's not something that you can just fully deduct.
I hear what you're saying, and I understand. I understand the and this is as a libertarian, this is a common component of libertarian bitching.
Well, there's the free roads things, and this is another version of it, as far as I'm concerned.
It's in the same boat, yeah. I really do struggle with taxes and no property taxes because, one, you buy into communities, right? When you're buying a house, you're choosing to buy into a community, and you're buying into a community based on things that have operational costs. I'm not buying into a community because, this house has a really good view of whatever. I mean, that's part of it, but I'm buying into a community like
why is my property tax, say in Central Florida, paying for hurricane relief in Miami? Just as
Well,
an
that's a
example.
separate problem, right? Like that's a
The
separate
same
problem.
way, why are my of the income tax I am paying for?
So
So you can do this at a state level or at the federal level. You get the idea, though. It's the localization of it is reasonable, but the non-locality part is a problem.
and I do agree with that, right? The non-localization of individual risk events is problematic, right? If I said, hey, I don't want to have a fucking hurricane, I'm going to go live in Orlando. That's a whole different kettle of fish than someone who's on Miami or which is basically guaranteed to get every hurricane.
Right.
So,
I mean, why would my property tax in Jacksonville pay for the stupidly expensive properties that are getting blown over in Miami? I think that's a very reasonable thing to ask.
This is the same perspective, by the way, that we brought up when we talked about PrEP.
Yeah.
Right. The idea of if you have one group
paying for their personal risk.
Right. If you have one group of people that is 87% of the fucking risk, then 3% of the population,
just dial back
maybe they're the ones who should pay for that.
Like 1 or 2 less piss orgies a week, please.
Yep. That's the fucked up part, isn't it? That's probably literally the number of piss orgies that they wouldn't have to go to get the vast majority of their AIDS transfers. Like there was a guy, there's something that was posted on X that I saw recently. The guy was in a video just talking to another guy about the piss orgy he'd just been in and blowing like 3 or 4 different people in the dark that he didn't even see the face of, and then got several people left their remains in his rear end. It's like, dude, and the guy in the video is just like, wow, that's crazy, man. It's like I think he said the bare minimum to express the absolute horror most people would have with that.
I mean, Jesus, that guy sounds like he's
what the fuck are you doing? Like it's just a what the fuck moment
or something. Wow.
Just a what the fuck moment, because like if someone just randomly tells you that on the street, it's like you don't just. Are you supposed to just say more power to you? I hope you do well.
When
good luck with the AIDS.
I had Robin's junkie sister fucking staying with us.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to do the right thing and balance. Like she didn't want to go to a group, which she's back to being a junkie, so whatever. Like,
okay,
I'm not saying that group therapy inherently works. Everyone is. Well, she decided. She decided not to follow what we'd set up for her. Like, there's not much you can do.
Well, so she had a clear-headed decision about that. That's basically what it sounds like.
No, she 100% like it was 100% voluntary, not even remotely not voluntary, right? Like she fought us every step of the way. She didn't want to go follow any sort of plan, just the way it is.
There's only so much you can do.
Yep.
This is what it boils down to. It sucks ass, but you can't save everyone.
Nope, you can't. So in any case, the can't remember where we're going with this. How do we get on that topic? Fuck.
We got on that.
I'm like,
it happens.
Too many
we
cans
got on that
in.
From Snap.
Oh, okay.
Property taxes.
No, this was more about realistic. We were closer to relative risk assessment.
Hey, you just asked how we got.
Well, we've gotten from talking about the whole PrEP thing.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
87% versus 3% thing.
Yeah.
And whether we shouldn't be paying for PrEP is what it boiled down to. Why the fuck are we doing that?
Yeah.
And I mean, why the fuck are we doing that? I don't think anybody's going to have a good answer. That's the really frustrating part.
But we got onto it. So it was like, why should we localize risk? We talked about that as a normal thing. I just can't remember exactly how we got. Like, I remember most of the conversation. I just can't remember how we got directly. It
was hurricanes. It was hurricanes and property tax, and then. Well, okay, but it's in terms of relative risk, because why should a person in northern central Florida, bother paying for someone who's got way more money than I have, especially invested in property, getting blown over down in Miami? Why the fuck should I have anything to do with that? And you can extend that out into private insurance. You have homeowners insurance. That's a way to dilute and diffuse risk out into a larger population to prevent catastrophic events. Well, paying for someone else's prep, that's not really a catastrophic event, nor something that a large part of the population should be bothering with.
Well, it's like we shouldn't need to pay for everyone to have a level 4
if it's
rifle
so damn
rated
cheap,
bulletproof vest.
Well,
Because
if it's
that's
so
not a thing
damn
that
cheap,
most people
why
are
aren't they
doing.
paying for it? That's the thing. If it's so damn cheap, why are they not paying for it? Why is everyone else have to pay for it with them? It's kind of ridiculous to me.
And I do agree with you, right? Like, I do agree that relative risks should be isolated. And if Florida sits there and offloads other people's risk to you through property
I
tax,
don't see any reason for us to be paying. I don't see any reason for like North Dakota to be paying for Florida's hurricanes, for example. Like, I think that's silly. And I think that choosing to live down here comes with certain risks associated with it, and that's certainly one of them, is having a hurricane come by. It's not like it's not known.
I mean, let's be real.
Being born down here is a different thing.
If somebody tried to tell the founding fathers that our tax dollars would be paying for grids treatments, preventative grids treatments, they might just burn the whole fucking thing down. Let's be real.
grids treatments.
Yeah, gay-related immune deficiency syndrome.
Jesus fucking Christ!
That's on the nose.
You guys are too much.
Hey, I like vintage medical terminology. I like the DSM-5. I don't like the DSM-6. So I keep it classic.
I was talking about. So I had to do a full neuropsych. I was talking with the psychologist about that. Just talking about how wacky it is between different DSM.
Are you breaking up, or is it me?
Nah, it's him.
Okay, got it. I want to make sure.
Me?
Yeah, you were breaking up for a second.
Yeah, you're
okay.
you're.
I saw the stream do its little whirly bit for a moment. I figured something was goofy was going on.
Oh, but speaking of goofy, we should probably mention this thing because I'm honest. I did not expect to be reporting on this fucking thing, especially I think having experienced it. So the first person has died from the allergy related to the Lone Star tick. Some guy had recently been. I don't know if the word is infected with the syndrome or whatever.
It's an infection from
it's an alpha-gal syndrome. I don't know if the term's infect. Well, whatever.
There's something associated with that
because of the Lone Star tick, and this what is this? As of just.
But he died of an allergy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like just 2 days ago.
It happens.
Yeah, 47-year-old guy out of New Jersey died 4 hours after consuming beef. And it's been revealed to be caused by the Lone Star tick bite, the alpha-gal syndrome related to that. And I don't know if we've reported on it. I think we might have, but there's a lot of peculiarities with this tick and this syndrome, to the point that it might be as natural as COVID, shall we say?
Well, that'll be something interesting to see. Like, I think the mechanism should certainly, it needs to be investigated a little bit further to like the mechanism by which it actually is happening. It needs to, there's some questions about that.
A lot more needs to be understood, and a lot has, sadly, very little has been done into actually researching what and why of this.
Well, that's the thing, is the tinfoil hat doesn't really have a whole lot of room to land just now. We'll put it like that. There's no smoking gun, and I don't expect there's necessarily going to be one. It might just, I think it's one of those freak of nature things myself, but certainly there might be some. The thing I would suggest, as far as like the natural aspect of it, is say the spread of it. That might have been more deliberate.
I would say that's a pretty well given kind of thing. Sure.
That is an easier explanation with, I would say, better data behind it, given the distribution of it. You could still say that it's easier as an explanation that people just got on airplanes and didn't notice they had a tick on them. I think that's probably reasonable too. But I think think that with the way that it's spread, to places that are not necessarily local to an airport, it suggests to me that maybe this was seeded a little more purposefully than just by natural motion of people. But we have a fairly mobile population in the USA to begin with.
Well, and we've also got the tourists who just alone go here and there between various protests. So to think that an organization, just for instance, called the Church of God, as an example, let's say that there's a South Korean organization that has ties to a nameless Chinese biotech laboratory that should be a level 4 biosecurity place, but really kind of isn't. And, let's say that some people of this theoretical Christian death cult, work at such a laboratory and sneak out something and then are found to have gone to all the various centers of commerce and trade in the world. And, those centers later happen to have a big presence of a particular bioweapon that was in the lab that they were working on. As we all know, that would be a perfectly normal coincidence and have nothing to do, the two things, with each other, just like this.
Well, that's what I'm getting to here is I don't really see the connectivity there, because where is the source of the people that are doing this?
Well, the thing about it is this one isn't one of those kind of things. I mean, this is like your Gates Foundation and your stuff like that, where it's just, okay, we made 1 million mosquitoes, we're going to release them in South America and just see what happens. Now, I'm just throwing some shit. I am just throwing some shit out there because I don't really know. Because this just kind of
I think that's kind of the point that comes down to.
Appeared in places where it shouldn't and spread faster than it should be able, and all of that. There's a lot of
just appearing out of nowhere. Appearing out of nowhere is largely how these things happen in the natural world anyway. Like
that's true. That's true. But they appear out of nowhere in a place, not everywhere all at once. And that's kind of the
thing I was getting to there, is that the initial seeding of it around different places might have been partly artificial.
Yeah. And
we have a mobile population.
That alone is a very reasonable supposition. There is nothing
like I said, we have
about presenting that as an option for why this.
We have a highly mobile population to begin with, so I expect that we're going to see spread.
I'll offer that I think ticks are very fucking pervasive.
They are.
They are surprisingly robust. It is a fascinating life form in a terrible way. The fact that they're very good, they are all the bad things all together. They're not particularly obvious. They're not particularly obvious. They're really small. They are extremely hardy. They can survive in all kinds of locations. They have numerous vectors for their associated transmission and disease. They basically feed off of almost anything. And you can't kill them with anything. They take forever to die under any circumstance. So,
speaking of nearly invulnerable parasites, we should probably talk about some of the recent tweets from the Democrat Party. Such as, just the other day, newly released emails show that Jeffrey Epstein thought that Trump was one of the worst people he knows with, quote, not one decent cell in his body, end quote. He went on to describe Trump with one word, quote, dangerous, end quote.
So, about the redactions.
Well, there was the craziest thing about that whole fucking story is that, so one of the things that's amused me about Democrats and liberals and the communication strategy, the Krasensteins are the best example of this. The reason that they get all kinds of upset is they basically operate in a decontextualized world. That is their modus operandi. They communicate a series of facts with none of the associated context.
Well, hold on. They exist in two worlds. One that is deeply and profoundly contextual, and another that lacks all context and has none whatsoever. And they exist in both of these simultaneously.
I'll offer that. Yeah, it is the fundamental principle of DeMont and Bailey.
I think you're wrong, Evan. It doesn't lack context. It has all the same amounts of context as the other world. It's just all made up.
No, I don't think
fabricated from the. Let me give you a quick example. Jasmine Crockett on the air with CNN trying to somehow hand wave away the fact that her own fucking party did the redactions. She tried to blame on the Republicans like 3 times in a row and then changed the subject.
I understand that, right? Like, I'm not saying that there aren't like situations where they flabbergastedly lie about their, I guess it's really it's a lie of omission. It really is a lie of omission. I have to get beyond that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, lie of omission or not, it's
What?
hold on. Fucking robot.
Damn clankers.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking clankers. No problem, bro. I just muted myself. I'm probably gonna kill this guy. Just because I feel like it.
Well, I would say that would get clipped, but it's not. You're fine.
No.
Murder.
No. Yes.
Sorry, what's going to get clipped?
This is where you put a just a tip joke. But on that note, I will tell everybody. Yeah. Anyway.
So, speaking of just the tip, actually, there's different ways to go with that. Different stories I want to talk about. The first one is one that just happened as of a few hours ago, according to I mean, therefore I am us, or whatever. Anyway, the DoorDash dipshit who decided that it was her job to enter a guy's house while he was sleeping on his couch with his pants down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
She's now been arrested and facing felony charges.
Mm-hmm.
She's getting her ass charged because she done goofed.
Yeah, that would be a thing you don't want to do. So, like, if you see someone on their property, inside of their own property, and then you trespass onto said property and take video on that private property, that could end poorly for you. Believe it or not.
Just to state the two, Henderson now faces felony charges, 2 of them, unlawful surveillance for amusement or profit, and unlawful dissemination of a surveillance image to sell or publish. Couldn't have happened to a better person, huh? Hope she enjoys trying to defend herself in court over those.
No, the
but if the door was open,
anybody's seen that video either. It's like she's trying to make a scene out of the whole thing. Like,
she's trying to claim she was sexually assaulted.
That this man would be asleep and naked in his own home. My goodness gracious!
She's trying to claim sexual assault, which is wild to me.
The interesting question in that one was, how is it that she found out that he was naked, right? Like
like breaking and entering.
Right. Well, but so her argument was that the door was open and he was visible. And I mean, there's a legitimate question of like, why did you order DoorDash while passed out naked on the fucking couch?
Well, to be fair, he was probably awake when he ordered it, but
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he was just hammered. Is that a crime in your own home? No, it is not. Being drunk at home, pretty sure most Americans are going to be like, yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, unless you're a Muslim and then you have to deal with a mosque.
Yeah, pretty normal.
It's not a police issue.
Yeah, outside of Sharia zones, as can be found in Texas and Michigan, yeah, it's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but like, it's kind of a weird thing to order a meal, while barely awake.
Not really. Not for hammered.
That's totally standard.
Yeah, I tell you, I've had pizza men wake my ass up before.
It is so normal you wouldn't even believe it.
I've had Domino's wake my ass up more than once, man. It happens.
I have woken people up. I've had to knock on the door like 3 times, like, "Oh, brother, I'm sorry, I was asleep on the couch. Shit, here you go."
Yeah.
That has happened plenty of times.
Yeah, I tell you, that's something where I give a bigger tip because I know I fucked up, man.
Well, I guess
we should probably mention a monumental fuck up, which there's a lot of nuance to this, and we definitely need to go into.
All right.
I'm not talking about putting Rust onto our nuclear program, which...
Oh, fucking hell, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's this?
Oh, they're talking about
We're talking
running the U.S. nuclear weapons program on Rust.
No. That's my answer. No.
What?
Just,
What
all
are
right,
you
so
talking
it's a programming language. So let me just give you a quick running down this. It's as a programming language, it is very new. It is A, unstable, and B, constantly changing.
And there's some big deal security holes too.
And C, Debian Linux has decided that the sudo command line thing, that so the privilege escalation, that's kind of how Linux functions. That needs to be rewritten in Rust, and it's buggy as shit, and it's not functional, but they're going to shove it on everyone anyway. It's been a big issue in open source. Also, most of them are genuinely fucked up activists. I know that there's good Rust devs out there, and I appreciate them. And I know that they're generally going to be more of the norm. But when it comes to projects like Linux, these activists have infiltrated, and they're making it their mission to push Rust. And it's fucking disgusting. It's fucking annoying. Anyway, I have opinions about them.
Oh, no, that's fair. And
Fair enough.
on the same kind of note of having plenty of opinions.
So this is the same deal. Just doing this dumb shit.
So, what I was going to go into from that, because that is worth mentioning, and people should know.
Yes,
and
go ahead.
so talk to your representatives and tell them, what the fuck are you fucking doing? Jesus. But
yes,
beyond
please.
that, the Sacklers. So,
Yes,
there
that was a good
has been an
story. That was a
update
great
out
one.
of Purdue Pharma and West Virginia and others. The settlement deal, well, that last one was kind of inadequate. So there's a new one, and the new one is
So they made a
the
new one.
Sackler family is going to have to contribute up to $7 billion. Oh, wow, that's loud. And give up ownership of Purdue because of their fuckery involving opioids and the opioid crisis. Now, there is something that I want to say just right out the gate, and that is this. People with pain issues have been absolutely fucked by this situation.
Yeah.
Because
They
they
have been.
can't
They've been
get
hosed.
what they need now. Because everybody's going to abuse the system. No, not everybody's going to. You just get the people that do.
Well, I mean,
fuck's
I
sake.
can tell you, having had to deal with a significant amount of pain in the last year alone, let alone previous years where I've had to deal with other serious pain and problems.
Listen,
The supply that they provide
having
is an
money
issue.
is not a pain problem.
Yes,
Keep
but
telling
it's
me.
so painful. So, so no, but like, the whole hand surgeries thing, breaking my hand, dealing with kidney stones, and then before that, dealing with other autoimmune issues. So we can also talk about Jim, him dealing with his pain problems and his concerns
Medicare
over pain
is a
management.
Great example. Everybody knows Medicare.
Right. So, like, the thing is that the way that they've decided to just kind of turn it back around on paying patients, not the junkies on the street, has been kind of wild. And I understand that there's a conversion rate there, and that was part of the concern that they were trying to assess and trying to address cleanly. And the problem is, it's not a clean issue. You do have to spend the extra 5 minutes to discuss with the patient, and so that's where the whole pain management doctor profession coming through out of this was being lofted a little bit higher than it was. I think that's actually a net benefit that will persist. But you get 3 days of pain meds after a major procedure, and maybe your major procedure doesn't heal within 3 days.
Thanks,
So
man.
that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's the kind of dumb fuckery that's been going on. Is you get 3 days, and then you got to talk to a pain management doctor, which means you got to put out money for another visit to a separate doctor. And it might be something where it's like, okay, this should last. This pain issue is going to last you 5-10 days. Why can't they give you 5 or 10 days worth of pain management off the go? It's because of these rules. And it's not like it's something where they're not going to know about it. If you have certain types of surgeries, they're going to know you're going to have this much pain over this much time on average. And yes, there's a spread around that as far as how much pain you're going to be in, but that's something you can accommodate for. That is part of the problem. Is this? It's a typical government solution It's one size Band-Aid and it fits 95% of the wound. Doesn't actually solve any problems.
This is one of those inherent challenges of So I move back and forth in terms of where I stand in terms of government intervention and regulation and all that stuff.
Sure.
And where I used to be hardcore anti-government intervention at all, I've moved to a position that's a little bit more open to the idea of maybe some people need to be managed.
Sure.
Or
no, I can agree with that.
And it's really tough because on one hand, I absolutely agree with the core concept of government solutions are big, bulky, inconvenient to everybody. They suck for everyone. But on the other, and in particular with opiates, I've seen the damage that is done with that. And pain management is a real hard thing. It really is a hard thing.
True.
We have, you want to talk about, like, if we go back a month or so ago to the dumbassery speech that Trump made regarding Tylenol,
right.
You don't have any other options as a pregnant woman with Tylenol. There's not really many other options as a fever reducer. We are not funding.
I think he helped with that one. It was tough it out. I think that was the big response.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing, though. Like, we aren't studying alternatives to what we know works.
Of the things you can say to a pregnant woman who's emotional and angry at you already, you don't tell them, "Hey, honey, why don't you just tough it out?"
Yeah, that's a bad choice.
As soon as I heard those words, oh no, they're gonna get all emotional over that one.
Well, I mean, regardless, right? Like
it was stupid. It was so dumb.
He shot from the hip. He dumbassedly shot
missed.
from the hip. He missed entirely. Like, so far, I'm actually, like, as things are going on, it's unfortunate that we still are a year away before we can have JD Vance take over and get a full, like, 2 terms and a half out of it. Because if he takes over too soon,
if he can't get his third term.
Yeah, he can't get his third term. So like, we have to suffer with Trump for at least another year. And that's really unfortunate.
I don't know if it's so.
I love that. That's something that is brought up.
You don't know? Let's talk about the H-1B visas. We don't have enough competent Americans to hold fucking jobs. Meanwhile, the same people who are actively sitting there and claiming that they desperately need H-1B visas is the industry that's most hard hit by layoffs this year, with almost 13 million people if you include contractors.
Well, I've got
there isn't just an abundant amount of talent, right? Like, there is.
On that specifically, I have a comment from the Ford CEO that is incredibly pertinent to what we're talking about this very moment.
Sounds like it would be.
Oh, it absolutely is, as a matter of fact. And I will quote, "We are in trouble in our country." He said that they have 5,000 open mechanic jobs, each of which having a 6-figure salary. And I quote, "We are in trouble in our country. We are not talking about this enough," Farley told Monica Langley. "We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs, emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electrician, and tradesmen. It's a very serious thing." Well, someone felt that it would be wise to just go ahead and, hop on the Ford, employment resources, take a look, out there, see what's available.
What do we got?
And let me see here. We've got 773 under all jobs, 445 of which are new. Let's just scroll down here. So enterprise technology. No. Oh, manufacturing. That would probably be where a mechanic would be, right? If they're going to be in any of these. 102.
Would be. Maybe.
102 jobs in the manufacturing sector. Now, I would think that
sounds like they're struggling then.
Yeah, I wonder where those jobs are listed. Maybe they're on jobs.now. Check it out if you're looking for employment that otherwise they want to go to an H-1B.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, especially if you're in the tech sector. They do tend to heavily lean in towards jobs in programming and computer engineering or computer science. So if you're a good code monkey, you might find yourself a job there.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's be real.
Full
How
stack
many?
engineer, so to speak.
It's something like 30% of people with information technology and information services degrees are employed now. Americans.
Yep.
Holy shit!
I think I
That
saw
is,
33%.
So like the point is going back to the Trump statement this week of how like we just don't have enough qualified people. It's fucking bullshit. We all know it's fucking bullshit. And the fact that somebody is in his ear telling him that is hugely problematic.
It's
hugely problematic. So like
we know it's Vivek at this point.
It can't just be Vivek.
No. I
to be fair, it's also
he's got that
Dinesh
fucking dumb
D'Souza.
bitch on the health board or whatever that's stonewalling RFK too. So yeah, no, Susie Wiles, I think.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's got a lot of shitty people around him. So yeah.
Well, it's not like that didn't happen last time, so we had to expect there was going to be some fucking on this one. I was hoping it wouldn't be so direct, though.
This is like, so if we take a step back for a minute, I watched Running Man last night, which was actually not bad. It's post-apocalyptic
as a remake,
but maybe I thought it was, but I don't know. It could be wrong.
Did it have Schwarzenegger in it or not?
No, it's not Schwarzenegger in it.
Okay, that's
It was in the
that's a
theater.
remake. All right.
So the premise is that a media conglomerate just has people run to go try to kill them for entertainment. But like, one of the things that the themes of the thing is how shitty the fucking media is and how it's basically a pre-programmed spot thing. When you look at the bullshit that they decide to tag Trump with, that they try to sit there and nail him to the ground with, it's always this little pedantic bullshit. Something like the H-1B visas, they could have fucking owned him on. And they don't.
And let's be real. There is one Democrat that's using it as a talking point. One. In all of their shit. And he's doing real well with it. It's like, Vivek Ramaswamy says you ain't worth shit. I don't think you ain't worth shit. I think... Now, he's not going to follow through with any of that, but he's going to say the magic fucking words.
Although, speaking of Democrat politicians who are doing something right, we can all go ahead and be thankful tonight that Fetterman is on the mend.
Yeah, he took
what
a fall.
Happened?
He took a fall.
He had a fall.
Got his face kind of bashed in by the ground. Had about 20 stitches, and he is back on the job.
Yeah. And, as Democrats go, Fetterman is one of them. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of vomit come up, trying to say he's one of the more honest ones.
Well, you could say one of the least awful.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah, that's not going to upset anybody saying that Fetterman is one of the least awful of the Democrats. That's a fair statement.
Truly.
I don't know. I like Fetterman.
Well, that's a bold statement, and I will leave you to it. But I don't hate the man. I certainly don't hate the man.
I think he's a genuine. He's
right.
Closer to what a Democrat was
if all
when
Democrats
Trump was a Democrat.
were like Fetterman, the U.S. would be in a lot better state. I'm just
Well,
going to say that.
I don't have an issue with people who disagree with me. I really, what irritates me with most of the Dems is the inauthenticity of their approach to life, and Fetterman is a reprieve from that. He might I don't have a problem if somebody says, "Hey, we need to be more empathetic." That's not. I disagree with them. I think that we need to go the opposite way, but that doesn't mean that I find it irritating or I despise them or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Well, for instance, right now, if you like Trump or any of Trump's policies, you are verboten on the Democrat camp, and you're also Nazi Hitler.
Right. So like,
which,
if you have
they talk about inauthenticity, that's okay.
So like Fetterman isn't like that in that way, and so I actually don't mind him as a Democrat. It's not like the least awful. Like, it's fine to disagree with me. It's fine to sit there and fight me on stuff. I think that's fine. at least you're authentic and honest about it, right? And I haven't seen him do anything that's dishonest. I haven't seen him like he's not an Adam Schiff, and I don't mean that as as
Right.
like the lowest bar you could be, but he's not playing. He doesn't play the. We talked a little bit about how
Well, he didn't do
the
Russiagate, for
Dems.
example.
Well, he seems kind of
He doesn't
honest, which is absolutely out of left field for.
right.
Well,
And
pardon the pun, out of
we
left
just
field for the Dems.
we just talked about how the Dems operate in this like decontextualized and hyper contextualized world. He doesn't play either of those games. He's just on the left, and that's okay.
Right. Well, for example, he wanted to just, open the government up because it was stupid that they couldn't agree on a bill, which I agree with.
Yeah.
But that is one of the more sane positions on that the entire time. You had these Republicans and Democrats telling each other,
Well, much
and the
less.
rest of the world, this is
agree
why we
on a
can't
bill.
open up, and this is why we should open up.
Well, much less with that too. Agree on a bill that continues things exactly as they already currently are. Doesn't take away anything. Just doesn't add anything new. That's all. That's the only thing that's
Funny thing,
which is nothing.
specific to that, there was something new added. What was the something new that was added? It seriously pissed a lot of people off.
There's a couple of things in there. Yeah, there's the hemp thing, which they've got a year to resolve.
Yeah, that was the
which
hemp
is
thing.
Dumb.
What's this?
So,
CBD
sorry, Papa
products have
Rose.
a year to figure out their legal status because at the end of a year, they're not going to have one. That's the long and short.
Effectively, they made it illegal to do the whole pot thing.
No, the
Which,
CBD,
sorry, hemp thing.
the
Hemp thing.
hemp-based pot thing. So, like, if you're going to have pot, you can have pot. If you're going to have hemp-based products, they are going to have 0.00 THC or whatever, I guess. To put it in the simplest of terms.
Yeah. They're basically, it's a prelude to trying to get rid of pot overall again. This was their compromise initial action, which is, we pick our own poisons as humans generally. So, it's like saying alcohol is now off the table again. It's like it's a good try. It's the door was already open. It might have worked maybe with some things that were being used more in a medical context, like cocaine. It's not really going to work. You're not going to be able to put that genie back in the bottle.
I will offer the following: that there is a higher order prospect to the let's go after the marijuana thing, and there's 2 points to this. First, the first thing to keep in mind is that I'm trying to think how I pick this. One, we have observed what legalized marijuana does, and overall, while there are social benefits to legalizing it, there are more social harms than there are benefits.
Fair.
That's the first.
That's my opinion.
That's the first thing. So, and those social harms are paid by society and they're paid by the government. So it is entirely as to the same effect as like illegal immigration.
Right.
It is not unreasonable to turn around and say that if this group or entity or organization is paying the cost, that they can attempt to mitigate it. That's the first thing. The second thing is marijuana in its current state is it has instituted a 10th Amendment conflict in our current paradigm. And unfortunately, the federal government has chosen to ignore this rather than go after the states. And I don't mean that they should go, like, if one of the first things I support marijuana legalization, one of the first things I do is I go sue all of the fucking states that legalized it.
Sure.
And the reason that I would sue all the states, because then the Supreme Court can determine whether or not this is actually something that can lie within the power and the purview of the federal government. And that needs to be resolved. The fact that they have chosen not to do that the feds have not chosen to prosecute the states.
I think the DEA existing is as an answer to that question. That's part of the issue, too.
Yeah, well, that is part of the issue, too, because the DEA, marijuana funding keeps a lot of people, or anti-marijuana funding keeps a lot of people employed.
Right.
That's a very true statement.
Now somebody's got to tend that money fire.
Yeah.
No, it's like the ATF exists, but we have a Second Amendment.
Well,
It's kind of weird.
So like, and to coming in as from the federal government's perspective here, part of the problem that you have is one of the things that Vance talked about pretty extensively, which is that money is fungible. And so one of the problems with money being a fungible thing is one of the problems with money being fungible is that we have to try to figure out ways to control funding to account for funding things that we want to fund without funding things we don't want to fund inadvertently. And the federal government's answer to this is colors of money. And if you're, well, a lot of people don't know what that is. But it's basically you can only spend X dollars on X thing. And so when it comes to the DEA funding, while there would be probably some great potential stuff that the DEA does that wasn't marijuana related, that Congress would have to pass an actual budget and apportion it out and say, hey, we're going to shift this money from anti-marijuana enforcement to, anti-opiate enforcement. And that would require Congress to actually issue a budget, which Congress hasn't done in like 30 years.
Right.
So you're dealing with a really complex system.
Basically, you're once again dealing with Congress doesn't want to actually do its fucking job.
Congress doesn't want to do its fucking job. And so like, it's not unreasonable for the feds to sit there and say, hey, we're going to go do this because Congress hasn't gone and done their job. And that's really what I think it kind of is Congress basically signaling they don't want to do their job. They don't want to reapportion money. They don't want to sit there and go into the nitty gritty of like what level of colors of money funding streams we have to this shit and where this stuff gets charged. Like they just don't want to deal with it. It's their fucking job, but they don't want to deal with it.
Right. Now, what happens in other places where you tell your boss, I don't want to do my job? Get fired. Unfortunately, we haven't done that in a while either.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yeah, there's a lot of firing that needs to get done. Quite a lot. And speaking of fires, we should probably talk about the ones going on south of the border. Ever since the wall has kind of materialized and become actually real, it would appear that the people down south are actually having to resolve their issues as opposed to run away from them. And they've decided, well, they're going to actually address the issues head first. And I approve. I wholeheartedly approve. The cartel-approved Scheinbaum is upset. She's in hiding at the moment, and they have stormed...
And I hear that.
Yeah, they've stormed the palace.
The Bastille, so to speak, has had a bit of a weather event.
Mm-hmm. So when...
Wait, what happened? So the Mexican president is in hiding?
Yes. Because
there have been major protests today.
The National Palace in Mexico City is under siege, has been breached. I don't know how extensively.
I believe that was resolved, though, wasn't it?
I don't know. I only know that it was breached.
Why
there was an issue of security there.
Why is this happening?
She's a cartel flunky, and the people have kind of gotten tired of dealing with cartels.
Specifically,
us blowing up
the mayor.
I know she's a cartel flunky. I just didn't think the people were actually rising up against her.
Well, I can tell you what's happened is just recently there was a murder of a mayor of I'm gonna fuck this up, Uruapan, and like a decent guy that was actually standing up against the cartelistas, and they did what they do, and the people were just they've had enough. Because the government's not doing anything about this. Everyone knows that she's in their back pocket. And they've just had enough. To put it in the most simple terms, I mean, really, that's quite what it is. People are tired of the cartels. This is like Gen Y, Gen Z. And they want to be free. They don't want to live in a fucking narco dictatorship. And how she has responded is, well, I'm going to deploy more troops to ensure that I am safe.
Which did not go over well.
Right.
What's up?
So what she's done is, instead of saying, okay, fine, I get it, we'll do the
I can't
Poland
hear
thing.
you.
Oh, well, I can hear you. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm talking to the guys in the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this ain't no game. But yeah. So when she said that she'd be deploying more troops to the cartel areas, that does nothing.
That doesn't mean anything. And right, like, we got to be clear here. The cartel killed everyone who ran in Mexico except her.
Yeah.
And it was not like it was a small number of people.
It was like 30 or 40 people.
Yeah, it was all of them. Every top to fucking bottom, every one.
Yeah. So like, she's absolutely a fucking cartel operator.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And undoubtedly.
Now, what's interesting though is that the people have actually risen up against the cartels, and
this is the second time it's happened.
Never really happened.
No, second time. This happened again during during Trump's first term, as we reported on that. Or actually, no. We reported on that. That was actually after his first term, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
because I know that we reported on it because there were fights and a lot of farmers were like just taking up.
Because we started this up in 2020.
Yeah. No, that would have been during Biden's term.
Or that over here.
But yeah, no, this is the second time it's happened, but this time it's gotten a lot bigger. See, the last time, what was happening is farmers and landowners, they were just taking up arms and defending themselves, and in some cases, when they were nearby the cartels and like cartel fortifications, they'd take the fight to them. But this is entirely different. This is the people are going to the national malls, to the palace, to the government, and saying, no, fuck you. And that's a big deal. And speaking of people who need to be told, no, fuck you, I have got a great update. Despite some of the infighting and naysayers, I do have a great update out of the American government. We've got 4 Antifa groups have been designated as foreign terror organizations and global terrorist organizations, as well they should. Now,
good. So they can get cut off by Interpol, too.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves us with a situation here. There's all these Antifa orgs and a lot of ties. See, they're not as unconnected as they would want you to believe. And so even though this is only 4 organizations, this is a fucking spider web. So if they feel so inclined, it'll be quite trivial, honestly, to tie this back to American Antifa organizations and such, and completely eliminate their assets, really, because if you're supporting terror, you are you're vulnerable to RICO. Good luck.
Yeah, you are 100% banned from banking in the country if you're a fucking terrorist.
Yeah, you're under RICO. You're debanked. Like it's rough. It doesn't go well. Some could say.
Doesn't pay to do terrorism in the U.S., you might think.
Funny that. Real funny. But on that note, I should probably mention something, and that is that we have the head of the German intelligence agency stating, what? Oh, no, stating, I am Antifa. And if the head of the German intelligence agency, their version of the CIA, states openly that they are a terrorist, an international terrorist organization, then I think we need to reconsider our obligations to our ally, because they aren't. And then there's the whole Poland, Germany pipeline thing. That is getting a little warm as the days go by. See, because Italy wants to extradite an individual who is seemingly directly responsible for this attack on a NATO ally's infrastructure. This person that is responsible for that attack happens to be Ukrainian, a non-NATO member and a non-U.S. ally. I don't know why there's such a problem. But yeah, Germany wants to investigate this person. Italy, they've got this extradition order. And Poland says, well, no.
Fascinating.
No. None of that. So it's making things very complicated. Very complicated indeed. Because we have a third-party nation.
Sounds like the kind of situation that calls for genuine American leadership then, doesn't it?
That'd be nice. That'd be real nice. So we've got 2 NATO countries. We have a third-party nation, not Russia, that attacks a NATO country's infrastructure, destroys it, causes untold amounts of environmental damage, certainly more than the Exxon Valdez leak. And we gloss that over. We don't even talk about that. I don't know if I've heard anybody other than us actually talk about that. Like, how much fucking natural gas was that? We saw that fucking giant field of gas pouring out. But nobody cares about that, right?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Lots of environmentalism going around, right?
Yeah, you got your priorities.
It do be like that.
It do.
Oh, speaking of,
like
there's
that.
another episode out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned that at the beginning, but it is worth mentioning again. It is worth mentioning again. But you know what else? What else be like it is when people think that it don't? Well, that would be business, of course. I made that more complicated. But that's fine. That's fine. Because, some people, they don't think it be like it is. But
it do.
It do. Indeed, sir. Indeed, it do. So, in New York City, they've got,
What
as
the fuck
people
was
might
that
know.
from? I remember that.
Oh, it's like some baseball player from fucking, like, I think the 70s or early 80s.
It's from a specific yearbook.
Yeah. Funny stuff. Just old school internet memes, classic stuff. But anyway, out of New York City, of course, everybody knows that they got a serious minimum wage. They want to make sure that their lower end people are taken care of. The people at the bottom, they don't miss out on opportunities, that they have all the things they need. Like if they're an immigrant, that they get to stay in a hotel. Like if they're an immigrant, that they have all the food that they need. Like if they're an immigrant, that they have all the things they need. Now, if they're a white person, well, ignore all that.
Well, what if they're a white immigrant?
Well,
or is that just something that's not categorically possible in New York anymore?
I mean,
what's that?
Are you asking me about? I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, okay, sure. There's Jewish Nazis, but come on now. But anyway, where I'm going with this is they've got a really great solution that is helping out people that were making even less money than those people. So
it's a final one.
Oh well, they're just so thoughtful, the corporations in New York City. So what they're doing is they're helping out even more impoverished people. As a matter of fact, they're helping out people in the Philippines. They're helping them get jobs to make Zoom calls, and on those Zoom calls, they'll be welcoming you into the restaurant and reading the menu to you and telling you what you can order.
Oh boy!
And the prices, because well, hosts would have made minimum wage, but well, people in the Philippines, you can pay them about $3.25 an hour. About that.
Grief.
So there you go. Oh, and don't worry about tips. They're virtually. They wouldn't even be able to accept them. So you're good.
I'm sure that's not going to stop the restaurant from accepting them.
Oh yeah, no. Don't worry. Those tips, they will be properly distributed. Right, I mean, not to the people there, but to some people that are on the property. Good times. I mean, problems have solutions, right? There you go.
Well,
you got
a
problem.
Some people might solve some things, like those restaurants being open.
Could be. But hey, here in the near future in New York City, those restaurants will probably be able to save some money. They can go down to the free food store, get some free food, and use that for their stock. So, all works out. All works out in the end. So,
Free food from the free food store.
something funny happened yesterday, and that would be that Starbucks had their yearly thing where they give out some cup that people care so much about. So there was a whole big thing, like a bunch of people were sitting in line doing this and making videos about how they're sitting in line to get their Starbucks cup. But something very funny happened. They had a Starbucks workers union thing. They had I want to say it was some 10. Was it 10? It was at least 1,000 employees just walked out, which is funny.
That was funny, haha.
But it's not going to get anything done. You're not going to accomplish anything.
Of course not.
They're just
why did they walk out? What's the reason?
Well, because they want a union.
Well, let them.
They very much want a union for Starbucks workers. For baristas.
I mean, they so my wife was a manager of Starbucks, so we got to go through this whole entire process. I think she was a manager at the time that they were trying to unionize it. As of right now, some stores are union stores, some stores are not union stores. It's an interesting dynamic. I'll put it that way.
Well, what I like is that the "you better thank a union member" speech was basically full of a whole bunch of shit that was done without unions.
Yeah.
So, once again, you're going to see that kind of intelligence come out for reasons.
Speaking of intelligence, we should probably talk about the big reveal on something that's been a bit of a topic du jour here on the Fake Untitled podcast. And that'll be Thomas Crooks. Well, don't you know? He worked alone. Worked completely alone. Had no internet profile at all. Well, he was just some guy. Some fella.
Interesting. That was a thing that was said by some people.
That was a thing that was said by some people. As a matter of fact, even Cash Patel said, "Yeah, we had these hundreds of people that were working on this, working overnight, doing this and that, 450
overnight,
and all of that." Now, mind you, Andrew Torba of Gab fame shared something that he was given, or I don't know if given's the right word, that he was legally required to accept and reply to by the federal government. As a matter of fact, an agency of the federal government. You may or may not have heard of them. They're a bureau. They do investigation. You probably haven't heard of them. Yeah, a federal bureau that does investigations. Okay.
Not a local bureau, then.
No,
not a local bureau.
Not local, no, federal one, yeah.
Very good. Okay, good.
Yeah, they work for a department that does justice in the United States. So, little organization.
Does justice, okay.
Yeah, a justice-related department with a federal bureau that does investigation. So, a little department, not all that important. Anyway, they sent along a memo, an emergency disclosure request, as a matter of fact, as of 7/13/2024, related to a Thomas Matthew Crooks to Gab Incorporated. Now, I am told, as of just yesterday, that he had no real presence, and that he was just some crazy ghost. What happened? Cash. We all want to know. We all want to know very much.
So here's the sad part. It's entirely possible that he was a lone person acting alone, and it was a lone actor.
Except that he wasn't, and we have that proven. So somebody's lying.
Do we have
I'm curious.
No, he had contract with FBI agents on a couple of occasions. It's all been proven out by third-party leaks.
By third-party leaks to who?
Press and the government.
Okay.
I mean, the stuff was provided. Case in point, Gab. They provided it to the government.
So,
and now
if I remember correctly, the closest they have is there is a cell phone ping that routinely went from the general area around Cook's apartment, whatever the fuck his name is, to the FBI building and back.
Mm-hmm.
That generally the
Oh, no, that's just one thing. There's rather a few, unfortunately. It just it is what it is. But yeah, I'll include the link to Cash's statement here
thanks, boss.
for what it's worth. But
Okay.
there's not a lot of well, the
So
thing
what you're
about it
saying is there was a little bit of a whoopsie-doodle.
yeah, it kind of looks like
A
that.
ipsy-pipsy.
And then also, this all comes out a day after Tucker releases his "Who Is Thomas Crooks" mini doc. So there you go. We've got
Tucker has been having some issues with his ability to distinguish reality from fiction recently. So
I wouldn't say that. I would say that he's been a fairly balanced interviewer that is not hard on anyone that comes on his show. He doesn't really.
I think that's fair. I think he is a softballer. Yes, he is 100%.
Because, to be fair, he seems to softball everybody. He even softballed fucking Sam Altman. Now, it was a mean softball.
Yeah.
It was a cruel softball, but it was a softball. Like, he could have dug into that. True. Like he could have been like, "Are you sure you didn't murder him?" And no, he was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know, that's weird." So it is kind of his thing.
Oh, he also hides behind the "some people say" kind of bullshit.
Fair.
You know, people are saying, some people say, sources say. It's like, dude, just fucking say it's you say. It's that easy. You can just be like, I don't believe you.
But on that, I will include a. Let me get the link here.
Not that anybody should just outright believe Sam Altman. To be fair.
Oh yeah, no, of course, and that whole thing is very
so
creepy.
full of shit. His eyes are brown.
But what I'll do is I'll include this Daily Mail article
Let's go.
Goes into some of the details on that, so that if you want, you can actually kind of see just what really is known, and you know how it matches up to what we're trying to be told now. But anyway, that's just something it irks me, as you know.
Well, I mean, it's irritating. I think the problem that you have, right, and this is a fair problem. We have to keep in mind that it's absolutely possible that an individual random actor who's kind of crazy can be kind of crazy. Now, the number of coincidences associated with this thing is just off the charts, right? There is all kinds of legit questions about how they left the roof unguarded, how...
Well, a 5-degree slope is not something that a normal person can stand on.
Yeah, stuff like that, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that was absolutely unacceptable. And anybody who was being serious... But, of course, there was a woman leading the whole entire thing, and that was her argument was geometry was hard, right? It is entirely possible that DEI is responsible for this. This is a perfect example of DEI.
Let's look at the crew of people that Trump had around him when he was shot at. There's a reason he changed out to private security immediately after that.
Yep. So,
I mean,
we're
looking and laughing at those pictures, which is really fucking frustrating.
Is it intentional? Maybe. But another possibility is that it's just like we literally had to just deal with peak wokeness. We're coming off of peak wokeness. But that was peak wokeness. And when it comes to somebody like Crooks, they're in a position, you got to think that you got to think of it as percentages, right? There's X number of people, or X percent of people in the country who think that Trump should die. Let's say 1% of the population thinks Trump should die. I think it's probably higher than that. When you sit there and you look at like the left-right dynamic and some of the statistics we have, it's probably somewhere around 10% of the left. So it's probably like 2% of the country. But let's just say it's 1% of the country thinks that Trump should die. That's about 3.2 million people. That's a lot. Of those 3.2 million people, 1% of them will take action on it, right? So that comes out to be about 32,000 people are willing to take action on it. Of the 32,000 that will take action on it, only probably about 1% of those will be in a position where they can take action on it. You're like, all right, well, that's like 320 people can take action. They have the means, motive, opportunity. They're not entirely completely incompetent for planning. And so these 320 people are scattered throughout the country as just waiting for the opportunity to go get Trump or go make an attempt on Trump. And that's what you're attempting to defeat. And you have to figure out which 320 out of the 3.2 million are the ones that are actually in a position to make a real threat. That's a pretty difficult job. That's a pretty difficult job to pick the 1 in 1,000 or the 1 in 10,000, 1 in 1,000 people or whatever the fuck it is that is actually a real threat in the world today, or which you know 1/1,000,000th of the country is something that you have to watch out for. We can absolutely have biased means of separating out who's crazy versus who's not. Like that's discriminators are wonderful in that regard. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be dealing with a fuck ton of people who have the means, motive, and opportunity to take a whack at the president or the president-elect. And so if you do anything that's not necessarily top of the line, like say sit there and decide that your priority for hiring for a department is going to be based on population representation rather than qualifications, it doesn't matter if you have the best intention or the worst intentions. The outcome is the same, right?
Pretty much.
Funny that.
And if you turn around and you say, hey, I've got 320 people who have a realistic chance of taking a shot at Trump, and one of them succeeded, the one that succeeds is going to be the one who didn't get caught in any of the nets that could have caught anyone else. And so that's going to be somebody like Crooks or like Cook or whatever the fuck his name is.
Well, it wouldn't be someone like him because, he's got all these ties and should have been obvious. It would be someone like the last dude, the guy at the golf course, for instance, who didn't have as many ties.
It doesn't necessarily have to be ties, but it could be, if you're not actively broadcasting that this is your intent, right? Like how do you know? You're talking about almost being in the Minority Report level of thought process.
Oh no, I understand the point you're making. It's just I don't think it applies in this specific case, but I do appreciate the point you're making, and it's a valid point. I just don't think in this case that is the situation. But that's more of an agree to disagree kind of thing. But something that we can both agree on, and has now apparently been all three of us can agree on this one. But it seems that we finally have the medical community forming a consensus on a new syndrome that is really just affecting a lot of people very, very negatively. A derangement syndrome brought on by Donald Trump, actually. So
what? They're actually classifying it as a real thing?
There's a psychotherapist, a guy by the name of Jonathan Alpert, that a huge portion of his patients are literally traumatized by Donald Trump. Like they can't sleep, they can't eat. Like they are actually traumatized by the man just living. TDS has become actual. That's where we are.
That is a little bit wild. Not gonna lie.
Right? Like how crazy have things gotten that these people are just so far off the deep end? They've crazied themselves. They've whipped themselves up into a frenzy, and they can't unwhip themselves.
That shit would go canon.
Right?
I mean,
I fucking knew it was going to happen.
Again, I've mentioned it before, right? There's a bunch of psych studies that we did after the fall of the Nazi regime, And the bad people learned the worst lessons from that. And this is a byproduct. Like, you can, when you turn around and you talk about raising kids, one of the interesting things that you realize when you go through psychological stuff is kids are kind of on autopilot. You can influence their development positively or negatively, but the amount that you can positively or negatively influence their development is like 10 to 15%. Pretty much everything else is just inherent, right? So as long as you're not abusing your kids, and as long as you're not in a position where you are like hyper educationally aware, your kids are going to be just fine, and they're going to be whatever they were going to be to begin with. But you look at some of the rest of these studies, and you say what you do realize is that while for the most part everything's kind of on autopilot, you can absolutely 100% influence human psychology, and the media is absolutely doing that in the worst of the ways that they can do that.
And so now we can say, this is even better, that Trump derangement syndrome is a product of the Nazis.
That's an interesting theory.
I mean, you could.
I just want to go ahead and throw that on the record now, so that later on, when people are put into a fucking white padded room screaming about how Nazi Trump is, say, look, you have nothing to blame but yourself.
Well,
for watching the Nazi propaganda on CNN.
Well, it's more or less that it's more about keeping them in an environment in which they have to make small concessions, right? So you start with sitting there and being. I'll put it as an example of something that we got tied into. There's a lot of funky shit about the election in 2020. 100%, right? So you can say, hey, our elections probably weren't secure. There's a lot of games that were played. You know, I know that I was
about Dominion, though.
Well, we can get there in a minute. Let's not get distracted. We were all sitting there. You know, you, me, and the rest of us were watching that stream. We went to bed at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and it was fucking over. It was fucking over and in Trump's favor. And we all woke up, and all of a sudden it had reversed overnight with like a 3 a.m. fucking voter dump into the whole entire thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that was kind of funky.
Like overnight, hundreds of fucking thousands.
Right. It was all right. Election's over. This has been fun. Time for bed, boys. There's not much here for me. Not much here.
Just
for
real
you.
quick, by the way, since I don't think you were here for it, we did get confirmation that there was a truck full of ballots that went to a building and then burned afterwards. So that thing that we did report on back
I did not.
Yeah.
I thought that they...
No, that happened. Confirmed. Now, what was on those ballots? What was in that building? Who can say? But the things that the event happened. Was it exactly as described? Were the ballots exactly as described? Can't say. But it happened.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Oh, so the Dominion thing.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine Crockett to our rescue again.
Oh, my.
Dominion ain't shit. Dominion gotta go.
Yeah, you can't trust Dominion. Nope, you can't trust Dominion voting systems now. All of a sudden. For some reason. Mysterious mystery of mysteries. Well, anyway, I've got a really cool picture of this very nice highway that cuts right through the middle of the Amazon. I'll just include a link to that so that people can see that.
Oh, man, what were they building a highway through the Amazon for?
Well, you know, they had this thing, you know, it was, they called it the
What kind of thing was that?
You know, it was a kind of a climate thing. You know, they kind of cut down 100,000 trees in the Amazon rainforest. You know, just the Earth's lungs. You know, just kind of cut out a big chunk of the Earth's lungs so that they could have their, you know, climate
Oh man,
change.
was it a biopsy? I mean, were they looking for cancer or what? Or were they injecting cancer somehow?
But I would say that that they were definitely they were definitely doing something. As a matter of fact, too, I've got just a total aside, but there's some interesting current work on biopsies that perhaps they are more dangerous. That your body actually encapsulates numerous tumors inside of fibrous tissue, and the biopsy allows that to escape. But that's in the past few days I have heard this, so I'll keep my eyes on that one. But
yeah,
I mean that it's not the most unreasonable thing to have ever been said. But anyway, don't really have more to that. Just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, oh man, actually, there's a bunch of stuff we could really go over, but there's one that's really cool by a man by the name of Brendan Carr. You may have heard of him, you may not, but he's the FCC chair. And he commented on something that I don't know. Well, we've spoken on it a little bit here and there, but it's not like a cause celeb of us or anything. It's something that everybody deals with probably every day. I'll just read off his tweet here because it speaks for itself. Robocallers located abroad have been tricking Americans into picking up their phones by displaying U.S. area codes. But now the FCC is seeking comment on rules to prevent anyone, including a legit biz with call centers abroad, from masking the caller's real country of origin. This is part of the FCC's broader effort to crack down on illegal robocalls. If our action here results in legit businesses deciding to onshore more of their operations, then that is good.
I think that would be good.
An added benefit. And
I see no problem here.
There's basically no one other than scammy assholes who oppose this.
I see no downside for us.
This is a big move. Everyone liked that. You do that, Brandon, everybody's going to be happy.
It's rare for the FCC to get a unanimous win like that.
Mm-hmm. And that would be a big win.
Again,
that'd
communists
nice.
aren't people.
Like, oh, hell yeah, the FCC.
I mean, personally, I would find it to be a much bigger win if the United States military decided to direct some of the missiles they're sending at the drug boats to the Indian call center towers and just drop them.
Yeah,
and be like, "Yep,
right.
we killed 1 million people, and yep, what you gonna do about it?" And oh yeah, by the way, there's a cost associated with scamming Americans. I think
that's not far enough. I think that's not far enough. I think we need to send them a bill for the missiles.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would, because some portion of the Indian economy is driven by stealing from Americans. It is a non-zero portion of the economy,
and not just non-zero. Like it's at least a whole digit, I would say. Like not a point.
Well, goodbye. Get rid of them.
Indeed.
No, so it's like when when the whole internet outage from the line that got cut going through Pakistan. And I said back then, I think even on this show specifically, that we should have ensured that it remained cut by using fire axes to destroy the connectivity. And if they want to get back on the internet, they can develop technology to get back on the internet themselves.
Sure enough.
I think that also goes for the parts of India that are scamming Americans.
You want to back
I think that turning them into craters doesn't really go quite far enough that they shouldn't be able to. The population in that area shouldn't recover.
We should throw them a Stux variant.
Yeah,
or
no, I mean I'm being facetious with that.
Oh,
I don't like saying that we should kill people because, frankly, again, some people aren't people.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you define the castes, But that's a deep level Indian joke.
Oh, there are some Brahmins who are going to be knee slapping, and they should leave the country.
Oh yeah,
they can go home where they can do it in India.
Oh, speaking of people that should go home, I'd like to read a really cool post that I saw on an anonymous website where anonymous people post, and it's thoughtful. People.
Oh, okay.
They might take away from some of my commentary that I'm like specifically hate Jews or whatever. And that's not true. I'm just anti-Zionist. Actually, believe it or not. I also, I'm not afraid of Muslims. Not Muslim phobic. I just don't like them. So anyway, claims to be the final prophet of God. No other prophet foretold his coming. Performs 0 miracles. Illiterate. Relies on other people to write down his thoughts for him. Doesn't confer with any serious theologians. Lives an unholy, carnal lifestyle. Claims to talk to demons. Gives several prophecies, of which none come true. Allah supposedly gives him information on Jewish and Christian theology that neither religion finds to be factual or backed up by any of their holy books.
Are we talking about the Mormon guy?
Maybe. Reveals several inspired scientific theories which are completely false, even in his time. Claims that if he is a false prophet, that he will be killed by having his aorta severed. Later dies by having his aorta severed. So, sorry, no, not Joe Smith. We're talking about Mo. Oh, Desert Mo.
Oh, you mean Muhammad?
Yep.
Like the guy that was drawn by Charlie Hebdo, Muhammad.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, okay. So the guy whose face is shaped like a penis.
Well, not really. No, his face isn't. We don't know that. We haven't seen his face.
Well, that's how it's drawn. Is he's just drawn upside down penis?
Well, exactly. When you draw his name, canonically, it just happens to look like a penis and balls with some extra, things around it.
Okay.
It just so happens that, am I the one who created this glorious and rich Islamic text? No, I'm not. You'll have to blame them for the way that it appears. That's just the way it is. Sorry.
You're talking about wait. You're talking about the guy who married a girl at age 6 and then raped her at 9. Are you not? That Muhammad.
Could be. That is
the one who lives in London, right?
That is the
one who lives in London.
No, that is actually kind of generally accepted as the generally true interpretation. That said,
we're talking about are we talking about Muhammad of the desert, or Muhammad of Birmingham, or Muhammad of London, or Muhammad of
Texas?
What the fuck was that place? It ended with Shire.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Epic City in Texas. But yes.
Oh, Epic City too. That Muhammad.
But yes, as a matter of fact, that aside, one of my most decent mutuals. I'd love to get him on here sometime. Imam Tweedy is a very awesome, progressive, decent.
He is a very
modern Muslim man. He's
decent guy. Is what I was saying.
Everything in his power. Him and not to the same level, but bin Salman bin Salman's making moves. I will say that, but Tweedy is day in, day out.
He's desperate to get it to reform, and it's just not going to be enough.
His religion to be something that can exist in the modern world.
So the thing is that
for doing it
with them, the thing with Islam is that it has resisted every effort to reform, whereas Christianity sought reform and found it. And the thing is, like, it's going to be bloody. It is not something that you just reform in text. There's a bloody reformation that happens in religions that find themselves in a stable position.
Well, that
and the same thing is
quite literally a warrior religion. So it's not
the same thing is true of
peaceful modern religion without a little bit of bloodshed.
Yeah, the same thing is true of populations here. The solution at the end is unfortunately not going and I'd love to be proven wrong. Please do. It's not up to you or I, unfortunately. The kind of solutions that are required to stabilize and reduce turmoil with the kind of populations that are present. As an invader or growing cancer, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
there's not a peaceful solution.
To deal with
the whole remigration thing.
You gotta do some ugly things sometimes, and it's
not
the
whole remigration issue.
The whole remigration issue. The whole of it is that the remigration issue is the simple
It's
option,
not going to be
the
not
easy
bloody.
option,
It's not
the
going to
one
be...
that results in the least suffering.
That's the thing, is people don't understand that is the moderate position.
Mm-hmm. Not even moderate.
And
that is the kind position.
Yeah. Well, it's a very moderate position. Like, it is the moderate position that remigration is the answer. The alternative is...
Let me help you go home.
Sink the boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, or that.
That's kind of the other side of it. It's, like I said, the moderate position is to send them home.
On that one.
You know, well, see, that's the thing. I like the new Venice. I like the new Gulf name. It's we've changed it from the Gulf of America to the Gulf of Exploding Venezuelan Boats. And that might be the solution in England as well, in France, is to create new little gulfs of exploding boats around them.
Well, the thing about it is, they could quite reasonably look at these as vessels carrying terrorists, rapists, murderers, and they wouldn't be in the wrong. They wouldn't be in the wrong at all. You know, throw a couple of storm shadows down that way, and I'm not talking G.I. Joes, and, you know, send a message. Because sometimes people need to learn. And, you know, maybe it's got to be a spanking. You know, maybe corporal punishment's the only thing that'll get them to listen. And that's sad, sure, but just what are we to do? Let people die? We've seen what happens there. Countries are destroyed and people die. And 15,000 young British girls are raped. So let's not do that. Especially not here.
Well, see, it's funny because you say any of this out loud, and suddenly the true colors come out.
Oh, speaking of true colors, something that we spoke on last week, and we were worried that a certain documentarian would be too afraid and would not show his true colors, or the true colors that he encountered. The true brown colors.
Well, fully admit, I actually was truly concerned.
Oh, sure. I mean, he was receiving a lot of...
And the next fucking day, I had to eat my fucking hat.
I mean, a lot of shit was coming his way. And, you know, at him,
next fucking
at his
day,
family,
I had to eat hat.
you know, he was in deep shit.
He was okay.
He was. He was
quite
in...
deep shit.
He was.
We are mature here. We are adults. God damn it. It was the shittiest documentary I ever watched.
It is. You know, it's a very shitty
documentary. Which documentary is that?
That would be
the Gorahaba documentary.
Yes, the Poop Throwing Festival of India.
Ah, yes.
So, but now that I would like to point out a correction there, because we did mention this in brief, but not as a correction, but we did mention this in brief during our little part beforehand. He mentions in the documentary that Gorahaba, that's only celebrated there, that is the one place that has that festival. That is true, but it is also not the only poop throwing festival in India. There are actually a lot of places with a poop throwing festival.
Yeah,
but Gorahaba is only celebrated in that one village. That is true.
Now that said, there's a lot of Indians that were not from that village that were giving him absolute hell.
Yes, and the Hindutva, they are fucking wild. The Hindu nationalists, they are outrageous. Now, I had actually mentioned this when I was talking to my little brother yesterday. let me just pull up the search for myself. As he mentioned the 5 Ds of dodgeball, and I had something below the nonstop spam calls from India right now. It's a post by Tyler Oliveira. It said, remember to use the secret passcodes to get them to share their family history with you. Behan Chod, Patty Chod, Ma Chod, Paki Chod, Ben Chod. And that's dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge for all the non-native speakers out there. And I said bonus points if you're eating steak, and let them know how delicious it is. Because they love cows over there, by the way. They absolutely love steak. Make sure you tell them how great your steak is.
Oh, yeah. On an actual, like, heartfelt
level. Bud?
If
you can, I appreciate it. If you can't, it's okay.
Was that?
I believe he was
Oh,
talking.
guy's
Oh.
trying to revive me.
Game. Oh, well, good luck. I hope he's able to.
No, I'm gonna die.
Well, these things happen.
You know what you need to do to not have that happen again, right?
Well, that would be great, except, missile, like, I ran around the corner, and this guy's, like, running away. I'm like, all right, he's just gonna go loot. Nope, there's a fucking missile-firing robot right behind him. And you can only take a couple of those. They make you eat shit and die.
Yeah, missiles aren't good for you, from what I understand.
In general, no. No, they are quite poor.
Well, speaking of not good for you, we should probably talk about left-wing discourse and how utterly fucking cooked it is. Because they're calling people gay. They're calling people retards.
Oh man, I fucking love this part. Yeah, the total fucking reversal on all of the pussified sentiment.
Oh, the right has utterly stolen all cultural relevance. But not only that, hold on, let me get this thing, because you too have got to see it. I'm going to drop this in staff chat. Click on it, go to the Twitter, look at it. But you're going to see from the intro itself, they're doing a hammer and sickle Sonnenrand.
Yeah, in the fucking Sonnengrad. Yeah.
That's how fucking cooked these dumb fucks are. Like,
They're doing fucking Nazi.
they're doing fucking
now.
Nazi Zoomer edits.
Yep.
Which is actually totally on brand for the left.
Oh no,
so I really can't fault them for
case
that.
in point, right? It's like you couldn't ask for something more. More.
It's a very
brand.
socialist thing to do.
Yeah, nationalist too. That's what they say. In this case,
Yeah,
no. In
nationalist.
this case, no. It's actually just socialist. But they're
Well,
kind of aping
well,
a
it's-
little
it's-
bit of the nationalism, as it were.
Sure, they got the hammer and sickle nationalism.
Good times. Good times. It's really quite.
Well,
simple.
we'll see if it's good times. It's a bit worrisome that they're aping that kind of shit for an entire generation or two.
Well, they know their demographic and what their demographic responds to.
Yeah, that's the thing that's worrisome.
Oh my. Oh. But remember, everybody, the most important thing you can do right now is to infight and ignore anything else. So, if you've got any allies on the right, make sure you're infighting and ignoring any other pertinent issues, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, the thing that will solve all the problems in our country is to bitch
Yeah, absolutely.
relentlessly,
Yeah,
mow and hard, too.
especially amongst ourselves and not about people outside. So definitely do that.
I mean, if you're gonna, especially, well, you say not people outside, but you got to remember that they're talking about a Capoe Cami previous date.
Look, Scott Pressler can be gay. Nick Fuentes can be gay. I don't approve of his choice of partners. I wouldn't get with Destiny, but whatever. Everybody is entitled to.
I would ask him.
I would
ask him about that
choices.
situation, but I don't want him to speak with his mouth full.
Well, put in a super chat. You can get him while he's on the air.
Even when he's watching.
I mean, to be fair,
Okay.
that would be kind of funny for that to go through as a super chat. But anyway, we here at the Fake Untitled podcast don't mind giving Nick a little bit of shit. But I mean, honestly, as long as he's not fucking things up for everybody, he can do his thing.
Well, I'd rather that a person like that speaks out loud so that everybody knows who he is.
Well, exactly that too. Case in point.
I know that's generally speaking the same for a lot of other people that are, or the right persuasion.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Especially when it's not them
Ali
who's the problem.
Alexander. Ali fucking Alexander. If we hadn't
Yes.
been able to hear everything he had to say, we wouldn't know how wild this dumb fucker was. We wouldn't know how fucking crazy Looney Tunes he was.
Oh, dude, the fucking time traveling stuff was fucking amazing.
Right.
The orange mask.
Exactly.
I can't believe that hasn't been like a more popular video to spread around. Just him talking about how if you really believe in yourself, you can time travel while he's wearing a fucking orange ski mask.
It's that simple. It just works like that.
He's talking about time travel like it's a fucking Apple product.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick before we roll out for the night, because it is getting a little late. I don't want to keep you guys too late. There's something I've got to bring up, because we've got two smart dudes here when we've got me, who's not stupid at least. So, about that aurora borealis in your kitchen, Seymour. Well,
yeah, there was a magnetic
saw the aurora from their fucking kitchen. So, the magnetosphere is in a weird place.
Wait, what?
There was a really big solar storm that happened recently.
Yeah,
this week.
M4.
It kind of crept up on. So that's the thing is, they're like, oh, it showed up before it was supposed to. It's like, well, that's how solar storms work. You get to see a couple of things happen, and then all of a sudden it's here because it travels at a really large fraction of the speed of light. Like it's not. These things are ejected up to like 9/10 of the speed of light. Because again, a lot of it is just light radiation.
Yeah, and the interplay of that radiation with our ionosphere.
Our magnetos. I would just say our magnetosphere is good enough.
Yeah.
Upper ionosphere for part of it. So the upper ionosphere part of it is going to be where you have like your aurora. Now it's not borealis because we're not up in the Arctic. Because the other one is the aurora australis, and that's the one for the South Pole.
Fair.
So, but it is an aurora that a lot of people have been able to see. Like the bands have reached almost down here to Florida. If you went outside,
I think there were actually some. I think I saw some reports of people in Florida that were able to see it up about the north.
Well, you're able to see it like a bit of a faint pink glow. That was really what you got. Let me go ahead and show you what it definitely wasn't.
No, you weren't getting the rich like Alaska aurora borealis or anything like that.
This is what you were 100% not getting because it was 100% AI generated.
Oh yeah, no, you weren't getting the you weren't getting Carrington effects.
Now, the upper end of the U.S. was able to see true aurora lines. So like down as low as the bottom end of South Dakota, which is a reasonable portion of the upper end. And then for the band of the United States below that, down to like northern Texas, was able to see a glow on the horizon for a couple days.
I'll try to take
at
it
night.
Still pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, it was really
definitely
cool.
Out of character
now,
for sure.
I'll also say this. It had fuck all to do with HAARP.
Wait,
the amount of energy you would have to pump into the ionosphere to be able to see.
Hold on. No, wait, hold on. I didn't see anybody talking about HAARP being involved with that. Are you fucking serious?
I'm serious. People said fucking HAARP. Look, it's going to happen every time. It's like I'm surprised nobody's mentioned that I've seen of like Area 51 being involved. You know what I mean? You're going to see the nuts. The same person that had that picture up, the Concerned Citizen account on X, had some people in the comments and the replies talking about HAARP. Like it's just going to be one of those things you see.
Yeah, I suppose.
But again, the amount of energy you'd have to pump into the atmosphere to get the effect from Alaska, the University of Alaska, which owns the HAARP instrument, by the way. So it's not even run by the fucking federal government anymore for like decades. The same to pump in the kind of energy you need to get into the ionosphere to see it like as far south as northern Texas. You'd have to like be able to run a power plant based off of fusion like the sun, which is why it came from the fucking sun in the first place.
Well, I've got a question on that. Just to clarify, add some context. Would that be more or less the amount of power necessary for Hassan to shot Kaya?
Oh, that's a tough one. So over a large period of time, there's potentially years of dog torture. Then you might be talking about similar amounts of energy. Now the energy required to reach from the keyboard to next to the keyboard to pick up the device and to shock Kaya. Given the immense density of the being we call Hassan,
very dense.
That would be quite difficult.
Hyperdense, you could say. Possibly not dissimilar to a collapsed star in density.
Right, which is why information in the form of audio waves as well as light seems to bend around him and disappear.
Oh, yeah, or if it does somehow reach him, it just kind of disappears into a void. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Quite true.
Funny though.
He got his ass arrested in China recently.
No, he got himself detained. That's true. For longer than he was detained by U.S. Customs.
Also true.
But it's gotten even later. So let's throw in a couple of interesting stories to close out the night. So in one that probably should have always been the fucking case, the IOC has said that no, dudes can't compete against ladies. So no transgender women will be in the female events. And I guess if women...
I'm curious, though. Will any of the previous records that are set...
No. We're going to have to wait until we've got biologically engineered women athletes to beat those, because actual women can't beat those.
So they're not going to roll any of that stuff back. Well, that's really fucking stupid.
Well, there's no...
I'm sure that'll happen in a few years when they're just like, yeah, she would have had a record except for this one person who wasn't a woman. They'll go, yeah, we're going to give her the record anyway. That might be a tacit removal as history slips it. I could see them being that gutless. Although I still hope they go ahead and solve that.
Well, it's a problem that's been asking for a solution for a long time, and Trey and Matt, they might be completely off the deep end these days, but they've made some very pertinent points regarding some very important societal issues. They completely lack the ability to do so now, but maybe again in the future, then when they get treatment for their derangement syndrome that they quite obviously have developed, they'll be able to be normal again, be funny again. As a matter of fact, since they seem to fail at that pretty regularly these days.
Well, that's the thing is, if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't really laugh at anyone. So here's a separate example of people not being able to laugh at themselves to be able to get along with a good laugh elsewhere. There's a whole MAGA-MEGA split. And I think that, I'm sure there are people who want to make Islam great again. More power to them. They seem to talk about MEGA a whole lot. But, I'm waiting for the punchline, too, when a building collapses after a bomb goes off.
Well, I guess I could go into the whole, British churches being...
I'm sorry, it's just a fucking funny thing.
Yeah, but by the same notion, it's kind of not cool for... the Babylon Bee to just be like, "Hey, Israel's going to assassinate you if you don't."
I thought that was pretty silly of them. I thought that it was weird that the person that they said that about was very cool with it before. I think that had it just been the one meme, it might have been a little bit less of an issue. But the fact that they had like a whole fucking article,
yeah, that they did.
Like that's like man, guys, you can shut up at any time. You are not required to make this much of an ass of yourself.
That's true. That's true.
And then they deleted the post on X.
Whatever the fuck you think of the whole situation, it really didn't have to go down like it went down. It really, really didn't.
You see, if they were actually going to defend that, they should have left the post up, but they deleted the post off of X. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, well, that's it. You guys are retards.
Oh, the article's gone too. By the by.
If only it was that easy, guys.
If only. So I will be including a link to a nice little thread that has information on it, as well as a link to an archive where you can read that article yourself if you're so inclined.
Uh-huh.
So that'll be there for anybody that's interested. But as I said, we are getting to the end of the night, so let's throw out some good stuff, because it's important that we do that. So let me see.
Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been is longer going to have support from Trump.
Yeah, and neither does Thomas Massey. And somebody has made the comment that if they survive their re-elections, they will be quite invulnerable, which is true. But what
Well,
else?
I mentioned MTG in particular because of her net worth change over time.
Oh, that's another. Well, yeah, that's
It's
probably worth
very
talking
America
about
first of her to
because
do
a
insider
lot
trading.
of people are absolutely apoplectic and completely beside themselves to learn that a politician used their position to enrich themselves. I know. I had never in all of my life ever heard of this occurring before the last few days. Because this is brand new. This has never happened before. A politician has never used their position to enrich themselves ever in the history of history ever before. So we are
Speaking of
all taken aback
politicians
by this.
being paid by deeds or misdeeds, I thought it was interesting also that the person behind the APAC tracker turns out to be some flamboyant person. Basically, the charismatic with the charisma of Fuentes himself.
Well, I mean,
This
there are a
poetic.
lot of interesting characters on the right.
I'm sorry. That is a positive news story for me to find out that is that kind of person. I think that's hilarious. But that is precisely the kind of person I would expect to be so insistent that they track every dollar of that American organization.
Well, that said, I mean, I see APEC
Which
the
may or
same
may
way
not
I
have
see
influence from outside the country, I will say.
I mean, I'll
Fair.
flat out care IPAC, same to me.
Yeah, no, I am actually of relatively similar agreement on that one.
But anyway,
I think one of them has done more harm.
Let's move on beyond this ugliness and throw out a couple of cool things for people because
we have a better good one.
That's what
Please,
we do.
Yes.
That's what we do. So let me just hop over here.
Let's do like a 10-minute wrap if we can, so I can get into bed by a half hour. I think that's a reasonable goal.
Okay, well, this one's not exactly a good story, but it does. It ties in. It's funny.
We're struggling tonight with this one.
Oh no, this one's just funny. So it ties into a lot of shit we've talked about. So there's any number of shot callers, shot detectors, AI gun detectors, and all of this. Well, out of Baltimore County, we have just such a thing.
Right.
What happened there? They have a thing called the Omni Alert AI gun detection system. They use it in numerous schools throughout the country. And, well, Baltimore police, they responded to an Omni Alert about a firearm at Parkville High School. They got there, they found the kid, they were like, put up your hands, drew their guns, the whole thing. And I will read a quote from the individual with the gun. They made me get on my knees, put my hands behind my back, and cuff me, Kenwood student Tacky Allen said about the incident that occurred while he was waiting to be picked up from school after his football practice. They searched me, and they figured out I had nothing. Then they went over to where I was standing and found a bag of chips on the floor, Allen said. The first thing I was wondering was I about to die? Because they had a gun pointed at me. Allen said about 8 cop cars pulled up to the school. I was just holding a Doritos bag. It was 2 hands and 1 finger out, and they said it looked like a gun.
Okay, so this wasn't one of those sound detectors then, the pressure wave ones? It was,
this is one of the AI...
The fucking camera ones? Oh, my God.
Omni Alert has stated they, quote, regretted the incident, but note that the system worked as intended. Really?
Uh-huh. It sounds like it certainly did. It absolutely worked as intended.
Mm-hmm.
It scared the shit out of the student.
It did that. And you know what else? Speaking of systems working as intended, there is...
And didn't save anybody, he'll notice.
Also that, yes. But a person I'd not have expected to just flat out say some shit that is just straight true, well, I wouldn't expect somebody to go this hard. Because it's as hard as I go. And it's Stephen Miller. And he had this to... Well, you know what? First of all, I should mention what this is in regard to, because we talked about those 17,000 driver's licenses that were issued to non-domiciled CDLs, basically illegals. Well, there's been...
Oh, yeah, we got rid of like thousands of those.
Well, a federal appeals
Not
court blocked
enough.
the Trump administration rejection on immigrants obtaining commercial driver's license, which were imposed after that guy killed all those fucking people. So, not quite, unfortunately. Now,
Well,
that's
so
gonna,
I
will
found
fall
that
apart once it
they got
hits
rid of
states.
like 15,000 of them or so, but not 68,000, which is how many California had allowed.
Yeah.
And also the 15,000 or so that they got rid of were in California. So not enough.
Well, that's how many they had
Out of
planned
fifth
to
of the
get rid
problem.
of, but unfortunately, a federal judge said.
Okay, so this is where you came in. All right,
Yeah.
got it.
So
They said no.
Yeah.
So it's still 68,000 CDLs.
Oh yeah. No,
that
now
he
that
made.
said, it's going to probably hit SCOTUS and absolutely be held up, but they just got to jump through all the fucking hoops. But anyway, Stephen Miller, seeing this a tweet about this about the federal appeals court out of Fox News, all he had to say in his retweet of it was this: the purpose of a system is what it does.
How about that?
And yeah, that's it. That really is it. That's the most important thing anyone can really remember about any of these things. It's all happening for a reason.
Quiet.
But anywho.
Quiet.
Those are two not so great stories. And by golly, I know I had a good. Oh, that poor dog. Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, I have one.
I actually do have another one. It's completely ridiculous, and we'll close with that. So what you got?
Okay, so mine is very simple.
Yeah.
It is a report of McDonald's had a double-digit decline in visits from lower-income consumers.
Oh.
I think that's a win for the overall public health. While traffic from higher-income consumers increased by a similar rate.
What? I guess.
Ha!
Holy, dude! Oh
Prices,
my
you
fucking
say.
god, dude! We are actually living in Judge Dredd.
That's what I was going with.
We're actually living in fucking Judge Dredd.
So
Oh,
if I went 2 layers of quote tweets up, it was from my buddy Mr. Gaddafi Payne, Marcus Aurelius on X. Said the fast food wars are coming and has the gif of what's his face with his couch shaped guy and the police chief.
yeah. Oh, the fat guy with the hat. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Without you.
Yeah,
even
the
saying.
scene out in the garden.
Yep. Yep.
Someone's like, they need to lower their prices. Like the fast food wars are coming. By the way, on that topic, I recently watched it on Amazon Prime. They actually tried to replace Taco Bell with Pizza Hut, and it's the saddest thing. It's so stupid.
What?
You can still see the Taco Bell logo in parts too.
Oh, that's.
How
So
should
dumb.
you not? I want to know how much Pizza Hut paid to replace Taco Bell in fucking Demolition Man.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
It's so pathetic too. Like there's just static images pasted into the movie. Why the fuck would anyone do this? So what that also tells me is that if you have an original copy with Taco Bell included, not Pizza Hut, that those are probably of higher value now
Yeah.
because they decided to change the fucking movie with this shit retcon, and that this is
we've
like
got
this
we've
is
got
like a
walkie-talkies
misminting
from
of a
ET
coin.
moment again here, basically. Is what you're telling me.
It's like a
You guys are still here.
strike.
My headset died. I apologize.
Oh yeah, no.
And my
worries.
dog was asleep on the phone crying.
We heard. We
She finally moved.
we
And
gave
then
our
all of a sudden, like, oh
condolences.
shit, there's voices.
Yeah, no, we're rapping.
Cool, dude.
We're rapping, but we're not there. Well,
We're
you'll want
almost
to hear
done.
this last one because this is it's dumb, but it's awesome dumb. So, a developer has created Quandoom, a Doom port for quantum computers. It uses 70,000 qubits and 80 million gates, runs 10 to 20 frames per second on classical hardware. Yes, Doom will run on your quantum computer. Is it a complete waste of resources? Absolutely. But by God, it's
Oh my
awesome.
god, that's amazing.
I guess you might need to go out. I don't know.
But I think that's a fun story to close us out on. I'll throw a link to the.
That's a great story to end on.
And they've actually got a link to their GitHub, so you can just straight download it for your home quantum computer gaming needs. There you go.
I might do that.
Oh, that's too funny. But everybody, been an absolute pleasure, fellas. Great to talk to you guys too. Everybody tuned in live or listening later, thank you for coming along. Make sure you're sharing the show around. I know I say that like this is our year, but we've actually been doing pretty well, especially on BitChute, which seems to be kind of our home platform. So, hey, cool.
Alrighty.
But anyway, everybody, thanks a bunch for being here. Share things around, as said. We appreciate you being here. But you can find me at That Fake Guy Dan. I'm Evan. You can find Steve there at Ratman720, and you can find Craig at excuse me, at CraigBob99 on the Twitter or X, if you want to call it that, because you're aggressive or something. Anyway, be good, be well, share things around, and stay sane in this insane world as best you can.
Yeah.